It's Schaefer and Sliwa. John Schaefer.
When you think about the city of San Diego, some of the worst ownership groups with the Clippers situation, with the Chargers situation, even the Padres ownership history hasn't always been smooth sailing.
San Diego's own Alan Sliwa.
I felt like we went through a stage of baseball where everything was so predetermined. Why even have a manager? What's the point of having a manager?
Here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is Schaefer and Sliwa on a Wednesday afternoon. Padres heading home.
Let's go.
500 overall.
Let's
Kevin
go.
AC, our Padres insider, will join us from Pittsburgh. The Steel City coming up in about 3 minutes. Overall, Alan, we touched on this obviously a ton over the last week. They go to the road 2-4 overall.
Yep.
They lose game 1 in Boston, did they not? They did.
They lost game 1 to Boston, and in a spot, game 2, remember, They were up 2-1, and then Maury Holm gives up a run 2-2, and then Tatis comes through with Laureano.
So when you think about it, from 2-5 and where they were, they win 4 of their last 5 games. Today, convincingly behind Michael King. I think we've said repeatedly in one form or fashion, either on this show or with Kevin, wherever. I think the general consensus is, hey, 6-6 facing guys like Skubal and Skeens and Framber Valdez and whomever else. I think you sign up for that, and that was at the start of the year. Here they are, coming home, 6-6 overall.
I don't know when playoff tickets are being sold, but I'm getting them right now.
You're going to get them now. You want to
get them right now.
Get on the bandwagon now.
No, really a phenomenal. I think we were saying this yesterday because when we're doing the show yesterday, the game was going on. Kind of got this gift today to have a game that early, a 9:30 first pitch. But when they lost yesterday to Paul Skeens and it kind of all fell apart there towards the end in the latter part of the game, it was like, all right, world's not going to end. Go get this one today. Come back 6-6. You got the Colorado Rockies coming in. Just try to play better baseball. They were so bad at Petco Park. You got to feel good about where they're sitting today. And I think you and I were doing the math here. This obviously is not a coincidence. In the games they've won, they're averaging 5.5 runs.
Yeah.
In the games they've lost, they're averaging, I think they have 12 runs total over the 6 losses that they have. So 2 runs is the average there. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea, obviously, for the Padres to get back on track and to put themselves in a position where they're 6-6. You got to feel good about that because the baseball's also been better. The pitching has also been better. Not been perfect. Maybe there's some times, again, a little lucky with some poor defense from the opposing teams, but take it all day long.
Yeah, I have 2 takeaways. One we talked about off air. One of them for me, and you just touched on as well, and I completely agree. Just Michael King in general.
Yes.
If you're getting Michael King like this, and I'm not saying every outing, but if you know Michael King is Michael King, that's a huge win. Here's my second takeaway, and we'll talk about this with Kevin, I'm sure, at some point. Manny Machado had his first day off. His first day off last year was 150 games in. And he had an off day, I would assume, just scheduled off the top of the season with his 12th overall game. So let's go to Pittsburgh with our Padres insider. All right, Padres are 6-6. There's a lot to react to. Kevin Acey is our Padres insider with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa from Pittsburgh. Kevin, we talked about this, I think, weeks ago. We said when you're facing guys like Skubal and Skeens and whomever else, we thought 6-6 was maybe a desired result. And here they are. They went through it kind of a unique way to get here. But at the end of the day, I think most Padres fans would take where they are, right?
Well, yeah, we did talk about it. I did think about that today. Finally got something right. But also after starting 2-4 with the way that the offense progressed on this trip, the way the offense came through and the way that it said it would, even when they were 2-4 and hitting, 197, they said that. Heck, before that, when they were hitting 182, because they did actually kind of break out the last game of the homestand. So, yeah, and then to, come on this trip, continue. Look, those Pittsburgh starters are good, man. And I thought it was it was an excellent trip.
Kevin, stay on Michael King here for a quick second as we kind of look at what he's done so far this year in his 3 starts, and just how encouraging is it to see that he could potentially be the player that the Padres are obviously hoping for. No, he's not the ace technically at the moment. It's Nick Pivetta, but just how big do you think these 3 starts have been?
I absolutely agree. Like he's not happy with them. And gosh, if you're as talented as him and you're making the money that he is and you want to be that guy, then he shouldn't be. But but I thought that they were really encouraging. Like every one of them had their encouraging moments, based on, how last year finished for him. And when I say finished, basically the second half, unable to really do more than pitch out of the bullpen in the postseason. And I thought that the fact that he's gone, he went 5 and then 5 and then today 6+, was able to get up to 95 pitches. And what he did today, and I'm sure that I didn't even have he addressed it a little bit, but I didn't have the heart to press him on it because I've talked to him about it so many times. One of the traits of an ace type pitcher is to not have your best stuff, to be behind, to, be wondering where is it, and you can't fix it in the middle of the game, and you still battle through. And I realized he wasn't facing the 27 Yankees or even the, 2026 Yankees, but I'm telling you, if you watch these games, the Pirates put together good at bats, and Michael did not have it for half of his start today. And the guy threw 6 scoreless innings before, going back out there in the 7th, and giving up 2 hits and then the run scored. I mean, that was a grindy, impressive start.
Yeah, against an offense that to start the year, Pittsburgh's, had a pretty good offense, obviously, the first 2 weeks of the year. Kevin Acey is our Padres insider. He's with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa. I remember you wrote in March about the plan to rest Manny Machado more. But I remember we had a conversation about this. It's one thing to have that as a plan, but it's like the Mike Tyson line. It's like everyone's got a plan until they get punched, so to speak. But credit to the Padres organization and Craig Stammen and even Machado, because last year, you know better than me, right? It took 150 games for him to get a scheduled off day. Yeah. Today, he gets it in the 12th game of the year. What does that signify? And how often would you expect him? Is it monthly? Is it every couple of weeks? Or how many scheduled off days do you think they're going to put in there for him this year?
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised at all because I said this is who Craig Stammen is. And this is one example of why he was hired. Not only relationship with Manny, but, somebody could walk in off the street. Craig's going to do what he thinks right for the team and that he thinks is right. And there was no doubt. But yeah, the reason there could have been doubt in people's mind is, hey, this is Manny Machado. Manny Machado played 150 games before a day off last year because of Manny Machado. And if you read the story that I wrote in the spring, I mean, the quotes in there leave no doubt that that's a man thing for him. That's who he is. And the stats, the fact that he's played in more games than anyone else since 2015 will tell you that. Unless Paul Goldschmidt plays tonight, then they'll be tied. But it is remarkable what Manny does. But there was really no doubt they were going to do this. As for how often, I think this might be a signal. I'm not saying every 12 games. I'm not even saying there's a prescription, but it got out of hand last year. There is no way they wanted to go 150 games without him resting. But at some point, then the offense was struggling. They were struggling. They wanted to, get a playoff spot. They were chasing the Dodgers until mid-September. And it was like both Manny and Mike Schill determined he couldn't sit. And so they got to get ahead of it this year. So in case they're in that situation again, where Manny does need to play 40, 50 games in a row, he's not already tired. He should have had days off earlier. Mike Schill did a pretty good job managing the different parts of his roster. That was one. Hey, no one's perfect. That got away from him last year.
Kevin, is that tough for somebody like Craig Stammen or any of these young managers who are looking at such a veteran? Let's hypothetically, Manny Machado says, "Nah, I'm not. I don't want to sit this early in the season. I'm good to go. I'm healthy. I'm feeling fine." How tough is that to get one of your stars and to paint that big picture of, look, you're actually doing this because it could potentially help us down the road? Is that a tough position that the manager's in, and how often does that interaction happen with the players?
I think it's really tough. I mean, there's a reason, certain players haven't moved down in lineups here with the past couple managers. We'll see when Craig gets if people are struggling, certain names are struggling, what he does there in terms of we're already talking about his lineups. Does he get drastic? But I don't have any doubt that he will. But it's the biggest part of the job, handling these guys. And I've talked about it with you guys before and a lot of places, because I know that the media and fans, we get all caught up in game management, and there's not a manager out there who's managed in the past, say, 10 years or so, and probably guys before that, but that wouldn't tell you managing in game strategy decisions is no more than 20% of the job. This other stuff is the 80%, and it only is getting more as managers have less power in some organizations, less sway. And as players, look, let's be honest, right? Not to sound like an old man, but, these kids have changed. And then you got a veteran like Manny Machado who does have the argument of, hey, this is how I've played and this is how I've succeeded. I'm better when I play. And so and he's a strong personality, but I said this from the day Craig Stammen was hired. I covered him for 8 years. And I said, I was surprised, and I don't know what kind of manager he's going to be, but he's got the personality and he's got the sway over players, including Manny Machado. When Craig Stammen was a middle reliever on this team, Manny Machado listened to Craig Stammen on things.
Really good insight from Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa. It's funny, I posted something about where we started, like, hey, 6-6. It's kind of what you were asking for. I think it's a good enough start. And it's social media, so take it for whatever it's worth. But one of the immediate replies was, well, they can't hit good pitching, so they can't win the World Series. I'm like, well, first of all, the World Series is in 7 months, so relax. But to the general
John, you
point,
should take down your post.
I should be like, you're right.
Yeah,
the World Series is over. You're right. But to the general point, I mean, he may be onto something in terms of look at what they've done against Skeens, Skubal, Valdez, even Mitch Keller here today. Would you call that a concern? The fact that this lineup with this investment, with the pieces they have in it, consistently hasn't hit consistently good pitching.
Okay, so to be fair to people on social media too, it doesn't leave room for us to get context from them either, right? Because had that person said, hey, we probably should keep an eye out down the road for how these guys do against top starters, I would say, amen, brother or sister. I would absolutely agree with that is something to watch out. To say that right now is like, but yeah, today they played 10 games, the 7th quality start against them. And I can't remember how many have been not just quality starts, but like shutout 6 innings or whatever. And so, but also Framber Valdez, I think, has allowed 2 runs in his 3 starts.
Right.
Tarek Skubal's pretty good. Paul Skeens is pretty good. Bubba Chandler's pretty good. Mitch Keller can be very good. Take a look at his career. Yes, he can get pummeled, but he also has plenty of starts like this. Sonny Gray's pretty good. I know Landon Roop got shelled by the Mets, but he's okay. Logan Webb's pretty good. They have really been, they've been under it here. Now, hey, absolutely a valid concern, man. I've written about it. You guys probably spent a lot of time talking about it. This is absolutely something to keep an eye on. They wanted coming into the season to do better against starting pitching. It was a few days before the season I wrote about it, that they don't want to have to always take a time through the order. Well, but also in that story, it was pointed out how they were going to start the season against some really good pitchers. So, hey, maybe that's it. And then also, Craig Stammen's been very upfront. I've got some good stuff from tomorrow's newsletter from Nick Castellanos, who's been a part of this whole, switching and mixing and matching. But Craig's been pretty upfront about we're using this first part of the year to figure out our lineup and to figure out where the pieces fit. And so let's just slow it down a little bit.
Kevin, final one for me. Looking at your article yesterday in the UT, great article on Joe Musgrove and just kind of where he's at based off of your interaction with him. And I'm sure for Joe and for a lot of Padre fans, surprised how he's still dealing with the issues that he's dealing with. Can the Padres, you think, depend on Joe Musgrove at any point over these next couple of months, or is this kind of a wait and see?
Depend. That's a key word right there. And they depend on him. And I want to be careful because I know how people react. And but I would say by the strictest term of can they depend, no. And I base that on talking with people and being like, so what's up? Well, don't know. Just going to see every day to day. And so and the fact is he's only played catch. And the fact is Joe's been pretty upfront about this. And so do they anticipate that in the next couple of months he's going to pitch for them? Yes. But can they depend on it? Is it really front of mind for them right now? No, it is not. One thing I do want to say, anyone that questions Joe Musgrove's dedication or his desire and how hard he works, like this guy has worked too hard in the past to come back from insane injuries. He pitched through, his arm could have given out at any point in 2024. He pitched through pain to make 20 starts, including some pretty damn good ones at the end of the season, helped the Padres get in the playoffs in 24. Like, it's not my job to defend players, but it is my job to sort of set the record straight. And if there was someone I was going to defend, it would be Joe Musgrove. And it's like insanity. It's like insanity to suggest that Joe Musgrove doesn't want to get out there or isn't working hard enough or whatever. That's just like, I can't even put it into words, and that's bad because I'm supposed to be able to put things into words. But I'm like, that to me is it means you have not been paying attention.
Completely agree. And remarkably, in doing this sports talk, as long as we've done it, not Schaefer and Sliwa, but as long as we do sports talk each and every day, that's never even been broached with, like, I don't even
crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind.
I don't even, if someone were to text that in, I won't even entertain that. But that's the most ridiculous. I mean, that is so utterly insane to think about. But A, with a professional athlete, and B, with someone of the caliber of Joe Musgrove. Kevin, travel safely. We will catch up with you back in San Diego as the Rockies get to town tomorrow night.
Right on. See
Thank
you,
you, Kevin. Thank you.
Are you cool with the 6-6 start? 877-767-4760. We'd love to hear from Padres fans as you drive around. Give us a call if you want to talk about the 6-6 Padres. 877-767-4760. We'll hear from Craig Stammen, what he had to say post-game as well, here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, we're going to hear from Craig Stammen coming up here on Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. We'll get to that at 3:30. We've got some giveaways today. We're talking SDFC, by the way.
Busy day today.
Busy day. Dax McCarty calls games for Apple TV, and he will join us coming up at 4 p.m. We also have some giveaways today. We've got a giveaway to see Pink at Petco Park. We also have a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. We'll hear from Craig Stammen in about 7 or 8 minutes. Let's go to the phones. If you want to weigh in, Padres are 6-6. Does that work for you? Does that work for you? 6-6
For me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm good.
877
2-5. I mean,
yeah.
Of course you take that.
Yeah. 877-767-4760. What do you make of the Padres 6-6 start? Let's go to Luke on line 1. Luke, you're on with Schaefer and Sliwa. Thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, boys. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
I was just wanted to put out there, John, you always talk about at the end of the season, it's a game or two here or there. And if you remember last year, that game, the tiebreaker the Dodgers had on us was looming so large coming down the stretch that these series against the Pirates and these like good NL teams that you only play twice are huge series wins. Could come down to it in the wild card. So I know it's early, but these are big series against these wild card contending teams that we're going to be playing. It could come down to it.
Thanks for calling in, Luke. And listen, this is, we can, every squad, I don't care if you win 100 games, everyone's going to remember a game you should have won, a
game you stole,
a game you stole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do think that, what Luke's referring to, there's some truth to that. 6-6, if you're the Padres, you start out 2-5, you'll take 6-6 in a heartbeat. They start out 2-4, they lose their first one to the Boston Red Sox, and then they go off, obviously a little bit of a run here. How they're winning the games too, I think matters. I think the way that, AC was just talking about it, which I love, because you and I might look at Michael King and we know what he's done in the past for the Padres, but how big is he going to be this year? Randy Vasquez has been a nice start, and a lot of people thinking Randy Vasquez is going to be good for the Padres, but I don't think you really know. Of course, Nick Pivetta, you need to be, you need him to be an ace, which is where they've put him in this rotation. So I think you got to feel good. We were talking over these think about last week, how negative we were, even off of a win against the Giants. That tune has changed a little bit. Of course, can it change again against the Rockies? Of course it can, but I think you got to feel good. They got to feel good flying back home to San Diego, knowing that they ran off a few of these wins here to put themselves in this position.
Yeah, I agree. I think it speaks highly of what's possible, because I thought this was tricky, Boston and Pittsburgh, for a lot of reasons. Boston starting the year 1-5, coming home for their home opener. Pittsburgh having won 5 straight at one point, throwing
balling
Paul
out.
Skeens.
Yeah.
They were playing in front of no one. Literally.
Well, not necessarily,
no one
because I do want to give them credit with their attendance. Started with 8,000.
What'd they get to?
Got to 9,000 yesterday.
What'd they announce today?
Today, blasted through. Give me a guess. How many today?
10-5.
10.
Look at the Pirates.
Not 10-5. 10.
10.
Yeah.
They wouldn't lead the
10-5 is a
Pacific
lot.
Coast League in attendance. I'm telling you right now, if I looked at PCL attendance leaders, I wouldn't be surprised if El Paso was averaging as many. Well, the Pirates had opening day, so they draw,
but you can't have Skeens on the mound and only have 9.
That alone, thank you for just saying that alone, he's gone. Sorry, I'm not dealing with that. If I'm this generational transcendent player, we can go out and win 89 games and make the playoffs one year. I'm not staying. I need way more support everywhere for me to stay. And I hate to say that, because I think it's probably good for the sport if he stays there as opposed to goes to the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers. But I just don't see the reasons why they're playing in front of 9,000.
Those reasons are fair. I think what I can't stand about baseball, I cannot stand the structure of baseball. Mm-hmm. You and I have talked about it. Yep. We'll continue to talk about it. I don't want to see a lockout for many reasons, but if that's going to fix the sport, then I want to see a lockout. We'll see what happens. What you can't do is, if I take the Skeens side of things and you're telling me that not only can I make so much more money somewhere else, put the money aside, I don't have people that are coming out to support me, because I know if I'm representing the Red Sox or the Giants or the Padres or go down the list of just some of these different franchises, the St. Louis Cardinals, all that. I know people I'm going to get the place sold out. I can't get 9,000. I can't get 10,000 to come out for a game and watch me. Pittsburgh.
It really is insane. All right, we'll get back to your calls coming up on the other side. Plus, we'll hear from Craig Stammen. If you want to weigh in, the Padres are 6-6. What do you make of it? 877-767-4760. Are you good with their start? 877-767-4760. Plus, we'll hear from Craig Stammen talking some STFC coming up at 4 p.m. with Dax McCarty. Stay with us on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. The Padres won their series against the Pirates today. They won game 3, 8-2. Michael King picked up his first win of the year. The Friars went 4-2 on the first road trip of the season. They come home tomorrow to start a home series against Colorado over the weekend. In other baseball news, Angels DH Jorge Soler and Braves pitcher Ronaldo Lopez each got a 7-game suspension from Major League Baseball today after they were ejected following their participation in last night's big brawl between the Angels and Braves. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
All right, we're going to get your calls. We're going to hear from Craig Stammen. This is Schaefer and Sliwa.
Call me sloppy.
No, what did I just say?
I don't know, but
that
was the best. That was the best break right there.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's
phenomenal.
explain. So we're going to go back to the phones. If you want to, talk to us on air, you just call 877-767-4760.
Or you can talk to us.
Or you never know if I'll just literally pick up the phone, because Brent's been cutting sound, like he's been getting audio ready for the show.
Yep.
To do that, he does it in another room. So Brent leaves the room and then the phone starts ringing, and there is a phone where me and Alan are.
Yep.
I never pick it up, ever, ever, ever. And the phone started ringing. I'm like, oh man, we're gonna need to get Brent back in here. Alan's like, just pick up the phone.
It's just amazing.
I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never
You just
considered
so
that.
casually picking it up. Hey, what's
I'm like,
going
hi,
on? This
John.
is John from the Schaefer and Sliwa show.
Oh, like, this is actually John? I'm like, yeah, it's John. So you could call us at the break and I'll just talk to you off air.
Have a nice conversation.
Or if you want to talk on air, just call 877-767-4760.
Life issues, something going
Whatever you
on.
want to talk about.
Maybe you and your significant other are having an issue. Both of you come on. Talk to John.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you saw me at Mendocino Farms earlier in the week. Shout out to Justin, who was talking to me for a while about the Aztecs, the Padres, and SDFC. If you want, Justin, if you just want to call the hotline, we can talk.
I just love that.
Between breaks as well. All right, let's go back to the phones. Alan on line 1, no relation, presumably.
I'm calling.
To Alan Sliwa back with us here. Thanks for calling in to Schaefer and Sliwa.
Hey, it's nice to know that I can get a free therapist out of you, John. So
no doubt.
Appreciate that.
He's ready to go, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about how it was surprising to see how King got brought into the 7th inning. I think it's kind of
I'm with you on that.
It's kind of you could just see how Stammen is trying to gain trust from his pitchers. I think the last 11 games we're just trying to figure out how he's going to manage the bullpen. But it's nice to see that he could trust his starting pitchers, and then hopefully we could get into a better rhythm as the season goes on. Thanks.
That's well said. I mean, I was surprised.
I didn't like it.
He was over 90 pitches, right?
Yeah, I didn't like it just because
he got 2 batters, not 1.
Mm-hmm. Got 2 and both were on. I think second and third.
Yep.
I didn't like it for the mere fact. I felt like he had 6 really clean innings. Right. And listen, this could be one of those relationship things, like we were just talking about with Manny Machado having the day off. Is that one of those? I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to give you, my opinion on it. Is Craig Stammen talking to Michael King in between innings and saying, and is Michael King saying, let me go out there. Give me a couple more at bats. Let me just let me get at this. The only problem I had is it just wasn't necessary. The whole reason how this team is built and the reason you got this bullpen that you have, I would have liked to see him just get pulled after 6.
And I also think it speaks to the importance of Jason Adam. Because
you're right about that.
They went from King to Kyle Hart, who's been very good for them. But Hart's stuff it's fine. But again, this isn't
not a lock.
This isn't
not a
7th,
guarantee.
8th, 9th inning stuff.
Yeah.
So you're getting a little cute in that spot. I thought they got fortunate. Ramon Laureano made 2 ridiculous
phenomenal
plays in the outfield.
Favorite player on the Padres.
If he doesn't make one of those plays, honestly, the Pirates might have scored 4 or 5 runs in that inning. They scored 2, and who knows? The game's different. But I'm with you. I think you want King to have the good taste in his mouth. You went 6 shutout innings. It's 4-0. It's probably time to turn things over. Let's go back to the phones because people want to weigh in. Let's go to, Dave is on line 3. Let's go to David, who I talked to at the break a moment ago. David, you're on with Schaefer and Sliwa. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Boy, it feels a lot different than when I called in Friday after the first game in Boston, huh? 4 or 5 since then. Starting to figure some things out. They came back, when they lost the lead Saturday in Boston, came back from down 4-0. on Sunday in Boston, then took 2-3 against Pittsburgh when the Pirates were playing pretty well coming in. So definitely nice to see. The two things I will say is that, one, Castellanos has got to be in this lineup every day because he's been clutch, and this is a guy who is eager to be out of Philadelphia and knows that he's almost on his last chance. So I think he's going to have a good season if you give him the opportunity. And as far as Michael King goes, I can understand why people want him done after 6, but I feel like Bueller didn't get out of the third on Sunday, and then Marquez and Pivetta only went 5 each. So I feel like maybe Craig felt like we needed one more inning or try to steal a few more outs from King because of how much we use the bullpen. But I understand both sides to it. Hopefully Vasquez just throws a gem tomorrow.
There you go.
The problems with starters not going deep. Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate you, David.
How, just out of curiosity, your conversation with him off air versus on air.
I liked both of them.
Were they both good?
It was great because when he called initially, I'm like, David, I think I tried to play it off like I was Brent. I'm like, 760. He's like, is this Schaefer? I'm like, yeah, you call me. So it was good. Both of the conversations.
Similar or different?
No, but David sounded like David both times.
David was good.
877-767-4760. We've got another loyal viewer and listener, Dave, who's back with us on 760 and with us here on Schaefer and Sliwa. Thanks for calling in, Dave.
Well, thanks again, guys, for giving everybody a chance to talk about it. It's nice to have that opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, look, winning is better than losing. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, refer back to rule number 1. I mean, how we got there, no one's going to remember this in 2 weeks. So let's take it as it comes. Be thankful that they made it on a pretty rough road trip. It was cold. I mean, it was darn cold. I wouldn't want to play baseball in that weather, that's for sure. So hopefully they can get back here, stabilize a little bit. They need to really get their home feet under them because, a couple of years ago, they didn't do so well at home. So this is important that they establish themselves as to being able to play in front of that big crowd and to produce the kind of results that people expect at home. So let's see how that goes. Keep our fingers crossed and let's just move forward and have fun.
Dave, appreciate you.
I love the 162 game grind because it really is like the wave of emotions are, and this is baseball. I know it is with every sport, but literally yesterday, you and I are walking out of the studio like, don't lose 2 or 3 to Pittsburgh. Today we're walking in and the vibe of everybody on the call is high-fiving some people and saying, all right, hey, you know what? That was a good road trip. They got to build off of it. Obviously all you're trying to do is get to the first month of the season, start kind of falling into May into June, continue to be in the mix. Can you find yourself 4, 5, 6 games over 500? That's obviously the goal. They got an opportunity. Anytime you play the Rockies, you want to try to take advantage of them, even though last season that wasn't the case. We'll see if they can start obviously doing some work from there.
And I will say this, the Rockies' 6th win last year came in May. Guess who else is 6-6? Colorado. They just swept the Astros today. So the Rockies are 6-6 after not picking up their 6th win until May in 2025. One more call here on the phones to Marcos, who's on with us here on Schaefer and Sliwa. Marcus, thanks for calling in, man.
What's up, guys?
Is it Marcus
First
or Marcos?
Honorable mention to Jim out there that hopefully he's staying warm because it's a nice day here in San Diego. But I'll get right to it, man. I'm looking at last year on the things that we really made mistakes on, which was leaving guys on base and walking. And I don't see that happening so far this year enough to where I'm worried. I like how everybody is settling into their positions, knowing who they are and what their role is this year. I think the last couple of years, there's been so much chaos with other stuff that I'm sure you guys can allude to, but I don't see that early on. I like everybody. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. Our bats are alive. And I like what I see. So thank you guys.
Appreciate you, man.
What he liked was the last couple of W's. That's what he liked.
That's what everyone liked.
We're fans. It's a random. We could do it at any point. We're fans of Mike Schilt.
Man, that's
or was it
big,
mixed?
That's a big topic.
Because I might be. I felt like I've always found myself defending the guy.
Right.
I always felt like I did. But I also felt the vibe was never the vibe that I think it should have for a manager that got you to the postseason 2 years in a row.
I think he was polarizing. That is a great question. Was he a well-liked manager, that might be going a little far. I think he was respected because he got him to the postseason.
I'll take respect.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to that call because the call was saying that, last year things were all over the place, and just kind of, reading in between the lines of, look, I think there's going to be plenty of times during the season we're going to ask, why did Craig Stammen do this? Is this guy ready shouldn't he be managing a team that doesn't have expectations, that doesn't have a payroll like this, that hasn't made the postseason 2 years in a row? That conversation is always going to be there. But I've heard enough from you. I've heard enough, just enough there. I'm curious if they were fans of him or they were not.
I think Craig Stammen has a chance to be more well-liked than Mike Schilt, but a lot of it is contingent on wins and losses, right? But if all things are equal,
personality, he can be more well-liked.
All things equal, I think it could be Craig Stammen. But if things aren't equal, I'm not sure if it'll be Craig Stammen or not. We'll hear from the Padres' first-year manager on the other side. Plus, we'll switch gears to SDFC, getting ready for another match this weekend here at home. Dax McCarty played in the league. He covers the league. He'll join us coming up at 4 p.m. Plus, great giveaways for you here today. But we'll hear from Craig Stammen coming up next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Dax McCarty, who covers Major League Soccer, SDFC, back in action this weekend. We'll catch up with Dax McCarty on SDFC in about 12 minutes at 4 p.m. This is Schaefer and Sliwa. Padres win earlier today. Did we even mention that, by the way? We just kind of got right into it. They did win 8-2. I think we mentioned it.
No, we mentioned it right out of the gate. We got a little excited with
we had Kevin,
the 4-2, and just move on. The Rockies are coming up.
Yeah,
and AC came in and did his work.
Rockies, this is how I am with college basketball. No matter who San Diego State plays, Brent knows this better than anyone. I'll give you a reason why this is a tough game. I'll be like, I know they're playing San Diego Christian, but
Troy.
Man, that point guard for Christian, man, he could really fill it up. I mean, that's how it's just who I am. Like innately, I'm always concerned about the worst. And I think I'm like that with the Padres too. I'm like, well, is it a good time to play the Rockies? They just swept the Astros.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I think the team has also kind of given you reasons to be concerned about certain things. So it's not like they've given you the utmost confidence to walk around with your chest out and be like, yeah, I mean, everything runs through San Diego.
Right.
That has something to do with it too.
Yeah, probably true. So you want to hear? I'm sorry.
I'll tell you a quick two minute funny story.
What do you got?
So right before we're about to start the show, ran to somebody from. Listen, this whole place is new to me. I'm still turning corners. Like I don't even know what's around here. Right. I am. The iHeart offices are pretty big. So I run into somebody. He goes, "Good game tonight against the Rockies, huh?" Like, nah, it's coming up tomorrow.
Right.
He goes, "Well, they play the Rockies today?" I'm like,
No.
Already played. Yeah, it was like 9:30. They already won the game. He's always it's done? I'm like, it's done.
Yeah.
And then that was our conversation. He went one way, I went the other way. I'm like, oh, that was good.
So was it kind of awkward?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
15% awkward.
Yeah.
But I just love that he saw a sports guy and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to talk sports with him.
Right.
And then instantly went to Rockies tonight. I'm like, no, they don't play 5-game sets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. The old Wednesday opener.
Not a fiver.
Yeah.
Not a Wednesday to Sunday thing.
It's funny you say that about like working in sports and then in a building that has stations that do news and sports and music.
Everything.
It's funny. Like some people, like when they try to talk sports with me as opposed to other, I've had some very interesting interactions. Not
like them.
negative.
No, I like them.
It's like, hey,
I want to have them.
It's like, hey, have you saw that baseball team? I'm like, the Padres. Like, yeah, pretty neat that they're in town now. I'm like, they have been for 60 years. You know, like you get everything. You get a little bit of everything.
Been down to the park?
Yeah, I'm like,
take a look. It's in downtown.
That new ballpark. I'm like, it was built 25 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right in that gas lamp area.
As I've ever been to the Q, I'm like, they knocked it down. Oh, did they? I used to go there as
it's
a
not
kid.
there anymore.
Oh,
Get out of here.
Chargers play this weekend.
I was on the 8. I swear I thought I saw it.
Chargers playing? They moved to LA. Oh, did they? All right, let's hear from Craig Stammen. Where's this start? With Michael King? All right, on the road trip for the Padres. This is Craig Stammen postgame.
Yeah, it was a really good road trip. You know, anytime you can go to the East Coast, 2 road trips, and come away with a 4-2 record, a winning record on the road, that's a big time win, big momentum. Jumper for us going back home, you know, to where we really do play good. You know, coming in after 2 tough series against the Tigers and the Giants, not playing our best, we played pretty good and showed some toughness. These trips to Boston and Pittsburgh.
Michael King seemed to get better.
Yeah, he did.
What did you see out of him?
Yeah, that's the old classic sinker baller, mantra. The more you pitch, the better your sinker gets. Yeah, he did. He got better, as the game went on, and we felt really good at how he finished the 6th to send him back out for the 7th and gave a couple hits, but the bullpen came in and did their job.
Was that your plan, that he was going to get just the 2 or just go as long as?
I was going to go, if he's gets the first 2 guys out and he's facing Horwitz, I was fine with that. I felt really good with how he was throwing the ball. But as you know, with pitching, they sit back in the dugout and something happens. The other team feels really good about what they're hitting, and that's kind of what happened today. But great job getting him into the 7th and helping our bullpen and saving our bullpen a little bit.
Everything all right with Mason? He allowed contact today. What do you kind of make of with this dominant stretch? He had 11 straight Ks, and for him to do that, and
yeah, exactly. I think biggest thing is he got to pitch in his hometown finally. He was pretty pumped up about that. I think he saw that with some of the velocity he came out with today, even in a 6-run ball game. But we were just sitting there in the dugout, talking with each other, like, what do you do if you're at the plate? What's the strategy? Because you can't just sit and react. He's got two, really, really, really plus pitches, and just it's tough for those guys to center up. And Mangum's definitely a contact guy and a guy that doesn't strike out, and he was able to put the ball in play, and Miggy made a great play to end it.
It's just a day for Manny.
Yep, just a day off. Got to get the our third baseman needs a few days. He's getting a little older. He's still a spring chicken, but I think these days hopefully add up in August, September, and we get the same Manny we get the whole season.
How helpful is it? Like when you give him a day off, you have a guy like Andujar who can impact a game offensively, and then you're not taken away from first base or DH because you have Castellanos and Sheets. What does that do for the depth?
Yeah, I think that's huge, and I think that's how we built the roster with all those guys, with Bryce Johnson and Ty France and Nick Castellanos. Is when we give those guys that are playing most every day a day off, we still have a pretty darn good lineup out there and guys that can do damage. And Miggy had 2 hits.
Oh, and then Craig Stammen just fell off a podium. Is that how it ends?
I think sometimes.
For now.
Well, it's almost as if we were asking him questions and we didn't like a question.
Just like,
we're like, Craig, that's enough.
Craig, I've heard enough from you. Like
Manny, a day off already. Manny, Craig, that's enough.
I do like the general point of if we sit him now, we get the benefits later.
August and September. Specifically, he said you get hopefully the best in August and September.
I hope it's true. This is more from Stammen.
Andujar who can impact a game offensively, and then you're not taken away from first base or DH because you have Castellanos and Sheets. What does that do for the depth?
Yeah, I think that's huge, and I think that's how we built the roster with all those guys, with Bryce Johnson and Ty France and Nick Castellanos. Is when we give those guys that are playing most every day a day off, we still have a pretty darn good lineup out there and guys that can do damage. And Miggy had 2 hits a day. Cassie had a big hit. It's good. Those bats are good.
Making your corner outfielders. I mean, one we know is Platinum Glover.
Right.
Ramon can play.
Yeah, Ramon. He made 2 game-saving catches. Honestly, those changed the game and gave them not the ability to come back. So, probably the 2 biggest plays of the game were his 2 catches in left field.
Are they bigger than they seem on the surface because they're also like helping you with some of your bullpen decisions and some things that need to happen there?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's one less batter the pitcher has to face, and he's out of the inning. There's nobody on base. If Griffin's ball lands there in that 7th inning where things are going a little crazy, that just builds momentum on their side. To kind of stops the momentum a little bit, allows us to breathe and make some pitches.
That was Morgan up there. Was Morgan up at that point? In the 7th?
No, Estrada.
It was Estrada.
Yeah, Estrada. Yeah, we had Hart and then Estrada getting ready. So, we had Hart. He got those 2 big lefties at the top of their order and got us out of that inning. That was huge.
I will say one of the differences between Stammen and Schilt is Stammen, when he speaks, does just sound like a normal human being. Like there's nothing really. He's not trying to like pull one over you. He's just answering the question. Like it doesn't seem very scripted or like, let me spin it. He said, man, he's getting older. He's no spring or he's still a spring chicken. I mean, Mike Schilt wouldn't be caught dead using a line like that. I'm Manny Machado.
Is there, is this just kind of a generational thing? You and I were talking when we were prepping, and maybe we save for a little bit later because I think it's worth a longer conversation. But I think some of the younger managers, I can even look at NBA coaches that are younger, JJ Reddick's of the world. Their style and their honesty and how they address the media and probably how they address their own players and everything else, pretty big difference than the way it used to be.
Great point.
I mean, the way we can go to Mike Schilt, or we could talk about Bruce Bochy, or we could talk about kind of more older school managers versus new school. In the NBA, JJ Reddick's going to talk to his guys different than Phil Jackson did. It's just, it's different.
A great conversation. We'll talk about that in the 4:00 hour. We'll switch gears to SDFC, getting ready for a match this weekend against Minnesota United. Dax McCarty spent his entire career in Major League Soccer. He now works on Apple TV. He'll join us next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. The Padres beat the Pirates 8-2 today in Pittsburgh to win the series 2-1. Michael King picked up his first W of the year. The Padres went 4-2 on the first road trip of the season. The team comes home tomorrow to start a 4-game set against the Rockies. In other baseball news, Angels DH Jorge Soler and Braves pitcher Ronaldo Lopez each got a 7-game suspension from Major League Baseball today after they were ejected following their participation in last night's big brawl between the Braves and Angels. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer.
When you think about the city of San Diego, some of the worst ownership groups with the Clippers situation, with the Chargers situation, even the Padres ownership history hasn't always been smooth sailing.
San Diego's own Alan Sliwa.
I felt like we went through a stage of baseball where everything was so predetermined. Why even have a manager? What's the point of having a manager?
Here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, hour 2 here on San Diego Sports 760 with you until 6 p.m. Great giveaways over the next couple of hours. We'll get back to the Padres series win over the Pirates coming up as well. But we do want to switch gears to SDFC, as, of course, San Diego Sports 760 is the home for SDFC here in San Diego. And Dax McCarty, who spent his entire professional career playing in Major League Soccer and works with Apple TV, is with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa. So we'll talk about, the upcoming match that SDFC has, but just the state of the franchise and the start of the year for San Diego as well. Dax, appreciate you taking time for us. I want to say you joined me maybe a year ago. And of course, SDFC was this huge surprise as the expansion franchise making it to the Western Conference Finals. What's your reaction to their start so far this year? Just 6 matches in. It hasn't gone maybe as perfectly as it went in year number 1.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's great to be back, guys. I really enjoyed our time last year. And I got to say, San Diego, one of my favorite teams to cover in MLS, not just last year, but even to start this year. But, I mean, to look at how their season has started, you'd have to call it a little bit inconsistent. You'd have to say for the heights that they hit last year and the expectations that I now have for them, I'd say a little bit underwhelming. And I think that's okay. I think that's to be expected with still a young franchise, right, in your second season. And let's not forget that they only had to deal with their MLS season last year and Leagues Cup, right? And so once you add in more competitions and once their success last year led them to the CONCACAF Champions Cup, well, that's been a tricky road to navigate, I think, for Mikey Veras and company with so many games so early on in the season. And, of course, it's disappointing to go out of CONCACAF Champions Cup the way that they did. And I think it's affected their form a little bit here in the last 4 games, right, where they're winless in 4. And defensively, they just look a little shaky at the moment, right? And so it certainly would help them in their results if they stop getting red cards, especially early in the game. But I don't have any concerns about Mikey Veras and San Diego. I think they're going to bounce back in a big way this weekend.
Okay, a couple things off of that. So how common is that with the extra games to have that type of toll? And is that common for some of the other MLS teams as well? And obviously it's a compliment for SDFC that they're in these games. But how much of a toll does that take? And is that consistent with some of the other MLS squads?
There's no question in my mind that it's absolutely difficult. Every MLS team that's in these extra competitions, and the deeper you go, the more games you play, the more fatigue your players get, the more you have to rely on your roster. And so what I would say about San Diego specifically is that I absolutely admire what Tyler Heaps and what Mikey Veras are trying to accomplish, and even Mohamed Mansour, the owner, in terms of their philosophy. Philosophically, they would rather bring in a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old to try to help their team be successful rather than signing aging, MLS veterans, right? And so I think the rub there is that to get young players experience, you have to get them on the field and they have to contribute in meaningful ways. And that's a blessing and a curse. It means that you get meaningful minutes for young players who are going to grow and be better. And I think we've seen, especially, recently with the likes of Luca Bambino and Manu Dua and even Oscar Verhoeven, they've grown tremendously, even in the last 6 to 12 months. But it also comes with growing pains. Young players are inherently inconsistent and they make mistakes, and you just have to put an arm around their shoulder and say, it's okay, right? And sometimes that can cost you results. But more times than not, it's gonna work out better for San Diego in the long run because they're getting these young players such great experience so early on.
Dax McCarty with us right now, Apple TV. SDFC Minnesota coming up this weekend at 7:30, a match you can also hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. This question is probably better if I would have posed it to start the year, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on just the impact of what they had with Chucky Lozano last year, and there were highs and lows, and he wasn't 100% healthy, and then we know how it all played out late. But then they don't have him, obviously, this year. So what's the on-field impact of what they experienced with him last year to what they're dealing with now without him?
Yeah, I think it's pretty big, quite frankly, guys. The on-field impact, when Chucky was at his best, that attack was scary and dangerous and dynamic. And his combination with Anders Dreyer was elite. There's no question about it. And so when they lost Marcus Ingvartsen so early on in the season, they weren't really playing with a striker, right? Ani Valakari, he debutized there every now and then. But really, when I was analyzing San Diego last year, I was thinking, hey, go sign a number 9. Go really give yourselves a chance to be the best team you can be and be the most dangerous attack you can be. And yet they didn't do it. And they actually, right? They got rid of Milan Alaski, which I thought was a mistake. But again, you turn back to Mikey Veras and the results that they got towards the end of the season, where San Diego just kept on humming and kept on going along. Thought, okay, an off season to rest, an off season to reset, and then let bygones be bygones, and they would be even better. But again, the whole Chucky Lozano situation played out how it played out. I think that it's unfortunate because he can be a wonderful player on his day. But I'll tell you one thing right now, guys. I was in a professional locker room for 19 years. There's nothing more important and nothing more sacred than the sanctity of the locker room. And if the locker room is compromised in any way, whether you feel the player is not pulling in the same direction, whether you feel he's more of a hindrance to your team, I love the fact that the club said, no one is bigger than the badge on the front of the jersey, and we think that we can still be successful without you, and we're going to move on. And so the club, they drew a line in the sand early, and is it hurting them a little bit right now? I'd say yes, it is. You haven't seen Lewis Morgan hit the ground running. Amal Pellegrino, he's yet to really get going this year. I think that left winger position is definitely one that they can upgrade, but full respect and full support for the club for sticking by their guns, and ultimately, they have full support of ownership to have for the stance that they have.
Yeah, that's not easy. That's not common in sports, right? It's not common in business. It's not common in, obviously a lot of circles. I'm curious, as it sounds like you have earlier, you talked about how you feel like SDFC, you're optimistic about what this season can be. Can you just put that into kind of explain what you mean, maybe in a little bit more detail as we look at some of the competition in the Western Conference, obviously some really, really good competition. What is a good season for SDFC? I think we all were thrown off last season. It's the first year they're here. We're just excited to get another professional team and obviously have MLS part of San Diego. But help us taper our expectations. What are your expectations for SDFC as the season goes along?
I'm going to be honest, guys. I expect San Diego to win a trophy this year. And I'll tell you why. Mikey Veras and what he has done at such a young age in Major League Soccer is almost unprecedented. And I think that they could use a little injection of quality in the attacking third. But everything that I have seen out of them means that they continue to just learn from their mistakes, and yet they get better and better. I want to take you back to last year. I believe it was right around this same time in April where in the league by storm, and then they hit a little bump in the road. They hit. I think they lost 3 consecutive games in April. They conceded 9 goals in 3 games, and everyone was like, oh, here we go again. Well, what happens the very next week? They play against a pretty good FC Dallas team. I believe they win the game 4-5-0. So I believe in Mikey Veras almost more than I believe in any other coach in Major League Soccer. He had my vote last year for MLS Coach of the Year, even though you could have picked either all 3 coaches, Bradley Carnell or Jesper Sorensen. Both had fantastic seasons as well. But I voted for Mikey Veras because to do what he did with an expansion team, with an expansion roster, was completely unprecedented. And so I have full faith that he's going to get the best out of that roster. I have full faith that the young players are going to continue to get better and that Anders Dreyer is a game changer. He's still one of the best players in Major League Soccer. And San Diego has the experience of last year, the frustration of losing in Leagues Cup, the frustration of getting knocked out of the playoffs. And so they'll use that as a learning experience. And so it might not be MLS Cup, but it could be the U.S. Open Cup or Leagues Cup. I can't remember exactly which competition they're in, but it could be one of those. And I think that they are absolutely going to challenge for a trophy this year. And if they don't, I'd consider that a disappointment.
I'm curious from your perspective as a former player, and to your point, you played in this league for a very long time. What's it like when the shoe is on the other foot from a brand new franchise where you're kind of hunting down opponents to now all of a sudden they're in the Western Conference Final and other opponents are hunting them? What's that like as a player, mentally?
Yeah, so I played for an expansion team in Nashville SC back in 2020, and our expansion experience was completely different than San Diego. One of my old teammates, Anibal Godoy, you guys should know well. Yeah. He's obviously part of that San Diego roster. We were just trying to survive, honestly, and it was frustrating. We played not to lose. We didn't play to win. And San Diego plays to win every single game. Doesn't matter if they're at home or on the road. And I have an experience playing for a team like that in the New York Red Bulls way back in let's call it maybe 2012 to 2016, where we had a target on our back every single time we stepped on the field. We had one of the best players that's ever lived in Thierry Henry for a couple of those years. And every time you stepped on the field, you got everyone's best shot. I really do believe that there's a few teams in the league that get that every time they play. Lionel Messi and Inter Miami, LAFC, and I believe Vancouver Whitecaps, and I put San Diego in that same category of every time you step on the field, because of your success and because of how well you play, you're going to play against everyone's best. They're going to give you their best shot. And so they continue to raise the bar. And that's why I have such lofty expectations for them, is because every time I've doubted them, every time I've said, this team's going to hit a wall and this team's going to fall off a cliff, they just get better and better. And so, look, I have high praise for them, and I think it's well earned, but I also have high expectations for them. I have no doubts that in a more competitive Western Conference this year, San Diego is going to continue to challenge for the top of the West.
Dax, final one for me, and as always, we appreciate your time. I'm curious to get your opinion on this. I know it feels like having San Diego a part of the MLS is a great addition for Major League Soccer. Now, the only way San Diego was able to do that, they finally got a stadium. Obviously, it houses also San Diego State University, SD Wave. What has SDFC and having San Diego, just this market, be a part of MLS, how do you think that has, what's the feedback been around the league? And I say that because, hopefully one day San Diego gets another professional team, but just talk about what the market is and what that addition is to just those around MLS.
Yeah, well, excuse the baseball reference and the pun I'll use here, but it's been a grand slam. You cannot tell me that any other expansion team has come into the league with more aplomb than San Diego. I think LAFC a couple of years ago when they came into the league they probably had more hype around them, and they delivered on that hype. But in terms of a team that really no one knew what to expect, where the expectations were pretty low going into year one, to see what they did completely blew the doors off of everyone involved in Major League Soccer. And I think it's a full credit to Tyler Heaps as well for being one of the youngest sporting directors in MLS history, able to use his extremely bright mind to go and mine all those different contacts that he made while he was over in Europe, and to be able to have faith and rely on young players to to lay out a vision and a philosophy of how they wanted to play. It's really easy, guys, to say we're going to play beautiful soccer and have it be effective, and we're going to be must-see TV every weekend, and we want to play on the front foot, and we want to keep possession. I've heard that from 95% of coaches that go to a new team. But to see a team actually come through in that plan, I think it blew everyone in Major League Soccer away. And so the fact that they continue to get unbelievable turnouts with their crowds, with their fan support, with the city of San Diego behind them, especially in a competitive market like California, where you've got 3 other teams that you compete with essentially. I don't have enough superlatives to congratulate and to compliment San Diego for how well their first season and a half has gone. And so the challenge is just to continue to raise the bar. How can you get better? How can you continue to entertain your fans and then ultimately deliver on the ultimate prizes, which are raising trophies at the end of the season? So if they can do that, I can promise you that a lot of people will be trying to emulate what San Diego has created.
Yeah, absolutely love that insight and perspective from Dax McCarty, who spent a long time playing in Major League Soccer. You can catch him now. MLS on Apple TV. And again, SDFC Minnesota United, Saturday at 7:30. You can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. Dax, appreciate you coming on again, and I hope all is well, and we'll do it again, all right?
Thank you, sir.
Love it, man. Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy the game against Minnesota this weekend.
All right, great stuff from Dax McCarty. We can react.
Dax delivered.
He delivered, did he not? He's good. He's good. A lot of we've had some really good guests from Apple over the years, and Dax is one of them. We'll get to the wrap coming up at 4:30. We've got giveaways for you. We'll give away pink tickets at Petco Park this hour as well. Here until 6, reacting to a Padres series win over the Pirates here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it is Schaefer again for the all-new Homul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I've been telling you about the hotel and spa over at Homul. It really is terrific. You can experience elevated luxury with a refined hotel stay. They've got rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Homul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. You can take your stay to the next level with exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. And while you're there, you'll love Homul 23 with their lobster buffet every day. You can enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10:30 a.m., featuring made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites. And make sure to check out Tony Gwynn's Endless Dining. Enjoy San Diego's favorite endless dining experience Wednesday through Sunday at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub at the all-new Homul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, San Diego Sports 760. The wrap is coming up in 10 minutes. So we'll get to the wrap in 10 minutes. We'll give away pink tickets this hour. Pink's coming to Petco Park May 15th. We'll give away those tickets this hour. Plus, if you missed our conversation with Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, you'll hear that coming up at 5 p.m. So I've mentioned over parts of the 2-week history of Schaefer and Sliwa.
Yeah, about a week and a half, by the way.
Right,
I think it's a little
only
aggressive.
The 7th show. You're right. It's only the 7th show. I mentioned that tonight my son and wife, more my wife and son, because my son's 7, are going to this Clippers game.
Yep.
And
put some respect on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
No, this is a Clippers game.
It's not a Clippers game. I'm sorry.
Clippers Thunder? What have the Thunder done in the last 2 years?
Where's that franchise going?
Yeah, where's exactly? What have
Tell
they
me
ever
that
won?
president. What has that president of basketball operations ever done?
What have they done? The Clippers are 6-21, Alan.
Can I tell you just a quick story?
Yeah.
As you're in the middle of telling a story, and here I am trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
Had a guy on. Lakers were playing the Thunder yesterday, so I had somebody, Andrew Schlecht, who covers the Thunder for The Athletic, came on my NBA show, right? My Laker NBA show that I do. You know what he told me about Sam Presti? Sam Presti is the president of basketball operations and just is running through the league like nothing.
Did he say he's cheating?
No, but here's what he did say. He said that this dude still is always on planes scouting and recruiting.
Why?
Okay, and that's his exact thing. He's like the exact word he said is he's a made man.
Right.
Mafia, or obviously like a mafia reference, right? You're a made man. You don't have to do those things anymore. Sam Presti running circles around the league, and you say it's a Clipper game like the Oklahoma City Thunder don't even exist.
Well, I get Preller going out on scouting assignments. Like your team's, you got to go win something. But Sam,
that's his first one. Presti just won one.
I know.
And went
But it
2
might
game
be,
7s.
He might have 2 in.
I think you might
months.
be right about that.
So where was it going? Oh, I know where it's going. But she has spent the last month since she bought these tickets obsessing over whether these players are going to play or not. Guys,
because it was, she put some good change there to get these.
She spent good money on these tickets.
Yeah.
It's the second of a back-to-back for OKC.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Clippers play last night?
I don't think the Clippers did. No.
But anyway, she spent good money on this. But this goes back to the point we've talked about a lot. Do we have Draymond Green, Brent? There has been, this isn't necessarily to this point on Clippers Thunder, but there's so much discussion in the NBA about tanking and who's available and unavailable, even with the best players in the league. Oh, does Luka get an exception because he didn't play 65 games? Whom else didn't play 65 games so far this year?
Cade Cunningham is out. I think he's going to come back. He's at 61.
But he's not going to get to 65.
I don't think he's going to get to 65. LeBron's not getting to 65. So there's some decent players out there.
There's all this discussion about it. So there's tanking, there's load management, and then there's the play-in tournament that we talked about yesterday, where you've got essentially 10 teams in each conference making the postseason, including a Golden State team that is well under 500 and could have lost out for the entire month of March and still made the postseason.
7 below 500 and 11 and a half games in front of the number 11 seed in the Western Conference.
So set this up. Where does this start with Draymond Green? Just talking about it?
Yeah, here's what happened. They're playing the Sacramento Kings yesterday.
Yep.
Somebody's asking, you're asking, think about who you're asking to, Draymond Green. Put the antics to the side. Draymond Green is a freaking 4-time champion. Like, the guy doesn't care about a play-in game. The dude has been winning championships since he's been in the league. And he was asked the question of, do you think the play-in tournament is working? Do you think the idea and the concept of the play-in tournament it's having its value? And then Draymond obviously responds here.
League as a whole, or would you rather it just went back to 1-8?
I think it worked initially. And now, like, to have a team stuck in 10th, it ain't working. So we could have lost our last 15 games and been stuck in 10th. It ain't working. But it works for a little bit. If you could be stuck in 10th and lose all the last 15 games of your season, and you could be stuck in 10th, it ain't working. Well, I think the play-in was made for teams to not tank. I think that's the part that everyone forgets. Like, the play-in came about to make teams like maybe through 12 or 13 keep going. They ain't keep going. They kind of slowed down, and then they hit the brakes. So, I saw a team tonight foul Seth Curry with 3 minutes to go in the game for no reason. In the penalty, it ain't working.
Oh, there's a reason.
So, but we want to make the playoffs, so it works. I guess.
I mean, again, because the Kings don't want to win.
They don't want to win.
But then to the play-in tournament, I mean, I would just say it, and we made this point yesterday. You made the point the teams under 500 shouldn't even be eligible. I just said the play-in tournament is flat out dumb. That it exists to create money.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of things in sports. That inherently isn't a problem. But like the tournament's dumb. The 9th and 10th place teams, let alone the 7th and 8th, will never win a title in my lifetime. Will a 7, 8, 9, or 10 from this point moving forward win a title in my lifetime? Forget about 7 and 8. They're rightly in. They've been in for 35 years.
And I think
Will
8,
9 or
I think
10?
7 and 8 has done some damage in the postseason
They have.
before.
Denver over as wasn't there an 8-1 back in the day with Mutombo as an 8
Yeah,
seed?
Denver Nuggets.
Didn't the
Yeah.
Kings in the the Knicks in the short season or the Rockets in the short season? One of those.
Yeah,
was
I
a
think it
7 or
was
an
the
8.
Knicks.
But don't you agree? The 9 or the 10, give me a break. We have a better chance of landing on the moon. Oh, we have actually. But you know what I mean.
You know what I think? I think looking at it just as a whole, it feels like of all the sports, the NBA gets like haymakers left and right from everybody.
With their playoff format.
Okay, look, the playoff format,
tanking,
load management, tanking, the betting scandal that went on with involving Chauncey Billups and other individuals.
Their draft, the whole lottery. Everyone thinks the whole thing's fixed, no matter who wins, right? Doesn't
The
even matter.
All-Star
Everyone
games,
hates the
everyone
All-Star
just
game.
demolishes it.
Best of 7 every series.
What does the NBA do right?
Free agency.
Demolish free agency.
Free
Trade
agency.
deadline.
Yep. Free agency.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's what people like. They don't like the rest of it.
Don't talk to me about that. I'll watch all of it.
We'll get to the wrap on the
I
other
got
side.
Atlanta, Cleveland later.
I
I'll
know.
watch it.
We're watching it right now. We'll get to the wrap on the other side. We'll get back to the Padres. If you missed Kevin Acey, you'll hear that conversation at 5 p.m. We're giving away tickets to see Pink at Petco Park this hour. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. The Padres beat the Pirates 8-2 today in Pittsburgh to pick up the series win. Michael King picked up his first W of the year. The Padres went 4-2 on the first road trip of the year. The team comes home tomorrow night to start a 4-game series against the Rockies. In other baseball news, Angels DH Jorge Soler and Braves pitcher Ronaldo Lopez each got a 7-game suspension from Major League Baseball today, the day after they were ejected following their participation in last night's big brawl between the Angels and Braves. Some people just know that you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
All right, San Diego Sports 760. We are giving away tickets to see Pink perform at Petco Park May 15th. We're giving away those tickets this hour. And if you miss Kevin AC, you'll hear a conversation coming up at 5 p.m. Padres coming back home. Look at the Rockies tomorrow night. Manny Machado bobblehead. He will be in the lineup, presumably. He was not in the lineup here today. You don't sit on your bobblehead night, right? That's kind of like the adage.
I mean, listen, if Stammen comes out and says we want this guy fresh for August and September,
just sit.
I respect it.
He's just going to sit for weeks. Right?
For
just,
weeks.
You just sit there, man. We need you in September.
Listen, they put up 8 runs without him today.
True.
I'm not trying to put 2 and 2 together.
They don't
but
need
clearly they're more effective. Their bats are more alive without Manny.
There you go. There's the evidence.
Well, you know what Friday is too, right?
Friday is City Connect 2.0, but they're debuting them or unveiling them tomorrow.
Right? Yeah, tomorrow.
In fact, they closed down the team store. You and I talked about this off air yesterday. I got an email saying this team store closed today early
so they can prep
early tomorrow and Friday. So my assumption is they debut this pretty early tomorrow, like socially or digitally.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I guess they're just selling it because if the team store is open early tomorrow, I would assume they're selling City Connect merch tomorrow morning. That's my guess.
I'm definitely not a financial advisor, but I'm just going to tell you that if they got a game tomorrow,
they're selling them.
And those City Connects are sitting in there, probably not a good idea to keep the doors closed.
Yeah, you're going to sell those.
Go ahead
things.
and sell those.
They're going to move those things.
Yeah, they'll move them.
Now, I will say, and I love an authentic jersey. I really do. I love a.
Do you wear jerseys? I don't wear.
Gate.
Yeah, I don't wear jerseys.
My concern with them, either do I really, and here's my problem with them. I like jerseys. I don't like just wear them. It's like the barber. But my issue is if it's like $479. I can't have like a hot dog. I'm a vegetarian, but like I get mustard on this thing. It was like a $500 hot dog. That's my issue.
That's risky.
Right? So what are you supposed to do? Not wear it, not eat near it, what are you supposed to do if you buy a $500 jersey? Look at it?
I don't think you can then buy a $500 jersey. You got to just buy the $100 ones.
Right? But aren't they seriously? Maybe not 500, but
no, I think like an authentic jersey, I think 250, 300, something like that.
I mean, it's not cheap.
Yeah. I got a guy. I get it for $225.
$225, exactly. All right, Kevin AC coming up at 5 p.m. right now. Let's get to this.
$450 or $350.
$350
for a Tatis. Yeah, for a Tatis.
Pull a loan out.
$350.
What's the interest rate on that?
2%.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Is tanking the biggest issue in the NBA?
Is tanking the biggest issue? Let me say this. There's an article on the front of ESPN that says King's late foul was tactical error, not tanking.
You're right.
So listen, just wait for a second. Just think about that.
Yeah.
There is an article about the Sacramento Kings today that has nothing to do with the game. They're trying to defend an idiotic play that Draymond Green was calling out in that last clip. I think tanking is, I don't know if it's the worst thing in the NBA, but it's the loudest. Of everything being talked about around the league that I would say negative, I would say it's tanking. That and player management. No, I'm going to go with load management is a bigger issue than the tanking. Stars, you don't get to see your stars. That's a bigger issue.
And using tonight as the example, my wife is going to this Clippers game, and she's been talking about it for a month on end. Who's going to play? Is Shea going to play? Is Jalen Williams going to play? Is Kawhi going to play? I'm with you. I don't know if they can. I think it might be easier to fix tanking than load management. because they put in the 65 game parameter, but guess what? That means you could miss 17 games and still be within the parameter. 17 out of 82 is a good percentage. It's like 20% of the games you can miss.
Very close.
So, yeah, it's a problem because, again, it's a problem for the fans. And, like, you need to cater to some extent to your fans. People spend a lot of money to go to these games.
I'm waiting for that moment because it's going to take, hey, this game's not sold out. All of a sudden, ratings are tanking. The problem is the NBA's got a $77 billion contract that they have with all these, networks.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot to make the NBA change.
That's why Jones is smart. He picked a favorite player that will never have to worry about load management.
Derek Jones Jr.?
Yeah, they're never going to sit him for load management.
Wow, shots fired at Derek Jones Jr.
Next question.
Poor guy.
Will we see Joe Musgrove this season?
Like pitch?
Like actually play baseball.
No, will you run into him outside? We had Kevin Acee on a little bit earlier. We're going to get a chance to hear that interview coming up at 5. I think we're going to see him, and I think he is going to have an opportunity. By the way, you guys mentioned it, and that conversation was up, and the fact that Kevin Acee had to defend, does Joe Musgrove, does he want it, does this, that literally never crossed my mind. Not to say that that doesn't cross your mind with other athletes or other players. That could come up. It definitely doesn't come up with Joe Musgrove. I'm going to have the faith. We're going to see Joe Musgrove at some point this year.
Agree on both counts. Joe Musgrove is doing everything in his power.
That's a very idiotic take if somebody has that take.
And I rarely go that far, and I agree completely with you. Musgrove wants to be out there, and B, he will definitively pitch this year. It would take something completely unforeseen for him to not appear in the major leagues this year. I think he could really help him potentially in the second half this year. So I would be utterly shocked if Joe Musgrove did not appear for the Padres this year. Next question.
Who's going to win the Masters?
All right. Well, as you know, I'm not exactly the biggest golfer, but here's what I'm going to go with. Based off of nothing.
Okay.
Rory's obviously winning. Is he in it?
Off nothing. He's in it. He won last year, right?
I don't think he won. Did he win the Masters last year?
No, maybe not.
All right, I'm going to go. I'll go Rory, and that's with a really in-depth analysis. If you want to hear my golf analysis, I'm doing
He won last year.
Roy did last year?
Yeah.
I'm doing a 6-hour Masters preview tomorrow on YouTube.
Hoopstock?
On Hoopstock. Yep.
Okay, so you're going with Rory.
Going with Rory.
And you're doing the 6-hour preview at 2 a.m. probably because it kicks off pretty early.
At 2:30.
I'm going to go. I always go with one golfer, and Brent knows who it is. It's Xander Schauffele, the Aztec, 2-time major champion.
Pick.
He's finished top 10 of the Masters like a million times.
I hate my pick now.
No, I think your pick is a good one.
Yeah, but he's not an Aztec.
Scotty Scheffler's the outside favorite. By the way, an Aztec just won last week on tour. JJ Spawn, who won a major last year. So I'm going to go now with the combination of both JJ Spawn and Xander Schauffele.
Yeah,
I'm taking
both.
2.
Yeah, you get both.
And one of them is going to win it. Next question.
Do we still like brawls and fights in baseball?
Okay, so this is coming from the game yesterday between the Angels and the Atlanta Braves.
That was a brawl.
Yeah.
That was a brawl.
Listen, I'm okay with just a nice brawl every once in a while. Here's what I don't want to see. And this is the same in my day-to-day life period. I'm not trying to see somebody get hurt. All right. So if you want to push around a little bit, you want to swing and none of the punches land, which I think that was going on yesterday. I don't need to see some dude getting knocked out. I don't need to see somebody face planting on. I don't want to see any of that. So you want to have a little 7 guys are holding you back and nothing happens. I'm okay with that.
See, I'm the opposite. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I want to see blood.
I feel like in modern baseball, yes, bench is clear, but so rarely does a brawl occur. It's almost like they know the game, and the game is to not go that far. Like there have not been a lot. Like in the 80s and 90s, you would see it.
Oh, yeah.
Today, there's not a zillion examples of what played out last night happening routinely in baseball anymore.
Wasn't the pitcher holding the ball, too, while he was throwing some swings?
He was. So, honestly, here's the issue with benches clearing. You might have talked to me about this earlier today off air. Maybe you just said it. But the idea that, like, this is the only way baseball gets on SportsCenter. That's my problem with it. The fact that to get baseball on SportsCenter, it takes the Angels Braves brawling as opposed to a player going 8 scoreless innings or someone going 3 for 5 with 2 home runs and a double. that doesn't draw the attention. That I think is my problem with it. As in, the most attention the sport's going to get this year is umpire ejecting managers, bad ABS, weird situations.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And brawls. So, like, I don't have an issue with it, but my issue is that's not the best part of the sport of baseball for me.
Well, I think also how everybody's consuming it. I mean, you saying it doesn't lead SportsCenter. I don't know how common you do this, and if you do, all good. I cannot tell you the last time where I said, "Oh my God, I'm waiting for SportsCenter to come up." But what's happened is YouTube's algorithm is going to throw you. Hey, let's take a quick little look at this brawl right here that's going on. All the shorts that you're scrolling through, that's going to obviously show you that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
When's the last? I know we got to go to Brett. When's the just curious last brawl you were in? What, last 6 months, 3 months?
Was previous show. All right. On the other side, we're going to get your calls 877-767-4760. If you missed our conversation with Kevin Acee, you'll hear it coming up at 5 p.m. This is Schaefer and Sliwa. No brawls here on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. We're going to hear from Kevin Acee in 15 minutes. We're giving away tickets to see Pink at Petco May 15th. Our phone lines are open. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, 877-767-4760. Let's go to Andrew on line one. Andrew, thanks for calling in. You're on with Schaefer and Sliwa.
What's up, fellas? Huge fan of the new show. Great Pods road trip. Got a quick question. What do you guys think of Nicky Cerveza Castellanos being a full-time starter in the lineup? And Alan, what did you think of Adu Thero's game last night and a future prospect at the Lakers for the Lakers?
Wow, I like
appreciate you calling in. Thank you. Want me to do Thero real quick? Let me get Thero out of the way.
Get Thero out of the way.
We were talking about Thunder a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
and this is just the way a lot of these leagues are, you better be able to draft, develop, and crop your own players. No different in baseball.
Sure.
Watching the Pittsburgh Pirates, seeing what they're doing, you're like, geez, stud after stud.
Yep.
We're talking about Paul Skeens and Merrill and them going back rookie of the year. Oklahoma City Thunder play the Clippers tonight, and your wife and your son are going to be there. They got like 12, 13 guys. I'm like, wait, how'd they get this guy? There's a dude that's starting for them right now when Jalen Williams out, but I think he's back. AJ Mitchell.
Yeah.
Who's 30-something in the draft. Nobody was paying attention at a UC Santa Barbara. Stud. So when that caller calls and says, what do you think about Adu Thero? The Lakers have been so bad in drafting and developing players. And the reason why the San Antonio Spurs are where they are and the Pistons and some of these other teams, a lot of that just has to do with you got to draft and develop. I think Thero is going to be, he's got the ability to be a really, really good player for the Lakers. And they're so desperate for developing their own talent.
To follow up on that, and by the way, 877-767-4760 if you want to weigh in. To switch it to his other question on Nick Castellanos, I think he will force his way into the lineup more often. Now, they don't owe him anything, so they're not like obligated like with Xander or, these high-priced stars to put him in there.
What do you do in that situation?
When someone's earning it or if someone is not earning it?
Yeah, because I also think you're sending the wrong message when it's actually exactly what we were talking about with I'm kind of drawing a blank here, but it goes back to you want to make sure that locker room and that clubhouse and whatever sport.
With Dax McCarty.
That's exactly what it was.
TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Saying,
exactly.
There's so much like sanctity in a clubhouse or a locker room.
It's
you
everything.
Can't mess with it. Baseball, I will say this, having spent as much time around it.
Yeah,
it's not that it's not that it's respected, but it's just assumed the guy making $280 million is going to be there until he is literally cut.
They're so early in his contract that I don't have an issue today.
No, I mean, yesterday. Yeah, it's not today, but it is a conversation. The thing with Castellanos is like the dude has hit in his major league career, like what I would deem to be like a professional hitter. Now, not as much the last couple of years, but like if he's going to have a resurgence, I hope it plays out here in 2026 with the Padres. The one other point I would make about him, the one area I would caution about him being a true regular playing every single day, I think you might get the best of him by limiting his plate appearances and at-bats. Why do I say that? He's 34. And I think as a 32 and 33-year-old, he may have been exposed to some extent. A lot of plate appearances and at-bats. Numbers weren't what they were when he was 29, 30, and 31. Maybe there's a best of both worlds where he ends up playing 120 games. That's a lot of games. He's not playing 155, but he plays 100 to 120, and you maximize him.
Remember when he started on left for Laureano?
Yeah,
probably don't do that again.
Probably don't do that. But Laureano's a brilliant fielder.
But I think the set him up for success is a good way to put it.
Yeah, and the guy can flat out hit.
Mm-hmm.
He can. So, I mean, I'm all for this, him being in the lineup. Again, I'm not yet willing to say, like, you have to find a way every day to put Nick Castellanos in the lineup, but I think he's going to play a lot.
When we were prepping today for the show, and I think you said, Al, I just feel it. We're going to get a call that asks a question about Castellanos and Adu Thero.
I did say that, didn't I?
You did say that. And the fact that happened is...
Right? Yeah, it's amazing.
There's nothing to say.
877-767-476. Let's go to Jeff on line one with us here on Schaefer and Sliwa. Jeff, thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, love the road trip. I'll take 6-6 to start the season any day. I'm going to drop a quick question, see what you guys think about it. I know a week ago, we were kind of dooming a little bit, but after this 4-2 road trip, is there anything you're concerned about? Do you feel good about this? Have all sort of the worries been washed away now that we're 6-6? I mean, what are we worrying about now, if anything?
That's
interesting. How do we feel? Just curious.
Well, there'll always be someone to worry about. I mean, I'll tell you, things that right out the gate for me, it's the Walker Buehler piece of it, the Joe Musgrove article.
Sure. Yeah.
They're going to have plenty of moments. The way they're scoring runs, look, don't get me wrong, and we had the stat out a little bit earlier. When they win a game, they're averaging 5.5 runs. When they lose a game, they're scoring 2. I think there's some things plenty of things to talk about that you can still have, of course, some concerns about. Go look at how stacked the NL is. I mean, they've faced some really good starting pitchers, and you were talking about this But they faced some really good starting pitching, and they struggled
They've done
against these starting pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, I can go both ways on it. I mean, I could tell you what's good, but I could certainly very quickly tell you what's bad. I mean, Fernando Tatis Jr. has to be Fernando Tatis Jr., and he's not. And he hasn't been for a very long time. So that's problematic. To your point on Joe Musgrove, you need to get Jason Adam healthy, which he is.
Yeah,
you know,
he'll be back. Yeah.
I mean, this lineup, yeah, there have been better moments over the last 5 or 6 days. There have, coming back from 4-0 down, or even today scoring 8 runs. But make no mistake, this is not the slugging lineup that you were all hoping for. Again, it's 12 games. They have 150 to play.
Are people expecting
changes.
that?
I don't know, but it's like if
I'm more surprised if that happens.
But if you expect it to be the same, and I agree with you, I think most people do, then your expectation is this team's not like a true contender. Like maybe they're like a quasi contender, because again, what team contends for a championship hitting the 25th most home runs in the sport? Very few.
Do you
Better have the
think?
best pitching staff.
But let me ask you this, just from an expert: do you think they're a true contender?
Well, I think it's too early to say. I wouldn't want to rule it out. You know what I mean? But no, I don't.
Coming into the season, I don't think.
Right.
So I think what's kind of played out so far might be the Padres, right? 6-6 right now through 12 games. Still, the bats are still there's gonna be plenty of times where the bats are struggling. Tatis hasn't jumped out to a great start that we all hoped for. Kind of playing as chalk so far.
Right.
Almost feels like it's, this is what you would expect. But the caller that we just had, for him to be optimistic, because last week was doom and gloom, because you did start out 2-4, 2-5, because you did look awful at Petco Park. So you should feel a little bit better on this Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree with that. Again, is it all perfect? No, but it never is. In a sport like baseball, in any sport, it's so rarely perfect until it is for that one team at the end of the year. All right, who wants to see Pink at Petco Park on May 15th? And by the way, we'll hear from Kevin Acee coming up in 5 minutes, our Padres insider. But if you want to see Pink at Petco May 15th, be caller 7 right now. Great giveaway. If you want to see Pink at Petco Park May 15th, call 877-767-4760 and do it right now and be caller 7. And you are going with 2 free tickets. Again, the number to call right now, 877-767-4760, but do it right now. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. We're giving away 2 free tickets right now to see Pink at Petco on May 15th. Here come the calls. All right, Kevin Acee on the other side. Our Padres Insider next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by True Green. The Padres beat the Pirates 8-2 today in Pittsburgh to win their series. Michael King picked up his first win of the year. The Padres went 4-2 on the first roadie of the season. The team comes home tomorrow to start a 4-game set with the Rockies. In other baseball news, Angels DH Jorge Soler and Braves pitcher Ronaldo Lopez each got a 7-game suspension from Major League Baseball today after they were ejected following their participation in the big bench clearing brawl last night in Atlanta, or between the Braves and the Angels. True Green, the easiest way to get a golf course quality lawn. Don't wait. Sign up at truegreen.com and get your first application for $9.95. True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. Let the pros do the work so you can enjoy the weekend. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. John Schaefer.
When you think about the city of San Diego, some of the worst ownership groups with the Clippers situation, with the Chargers situation, even the Padres ownership history hasn't always been smooth sailing.
San Diego's own Alan Sliwa.
I felt like we went through a stage of baseball where everything was so predetermined. Why even have a manager? What's the point of having a manager?
Here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Schaefer and Sliwa on this Wednesday afternoon, reacting to a Padres series win in Pittsburgh. We're also giving away a family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place coming up later this hour. But if you missed it earlier, our Padres insider Kevin Acee with us from Pittsburgh, and we started the conversation by asking Kevin about the 6-6 start and his thoughts about the first 12 games overall.
Well, yeah, we did talk about it. I did think about that today. Finally got something right. But also after starting 2-4 with the way that the offense progressed on this trip, the way the offense came through and the way that it said it would, even when they were 2-4 and hitting, 197, they said that. Heck, before that, when they were hitting 182, because they did actually kind of break out the last game of the homestand. So, yeah, and then to, come on this trip, continue. Look, those Pittsburgh starters are good, man. And I thought it was it was an excellent trip.
Kevin, stay on Michael King here for a quick second to as we kind of look at what he's done so far this year in his 3 starts, and just how encouraging is it to see that he could potentially be the player that the Padres are obviously hoping for. No, he's not the ace technically at the moment. It's Nick Pivetta, but just how big do you think these 3 starts have been?
I absolutely agree. Like he's not happy with them. And gosh, if you're as talented as him and you're making the money that he is and you want to be that guy, then he shouldn't be. But I thought that they were really encouraging. Like every one of them had their encouraging moments, based on, gosh, what able to get up to 95 pitches. And what he did today, and I'm sure that I didn't even have he addressed it a little bit, but I didn't have the heart to press him on it because I've talked to him about it so many times. One of the traits of an ace type pitcher is to not have your best stuff, to be behind, to, be wondering where is it, and you can't fix it in the middle of the game, and you still battle through. And I realized he wasn't facing the 27 Yankees or even the, 2026 Yankees, but I'm telling you, if you watch these games, the Pirates put together good at bats, and Michael did not have it for half of his start today. And the guy threw 6 scoreless innings before, going back out there in the 7th, and giving up 2 hits and then the run scored. I mean, that was a grindy, impressive start.
Yeah, against an offense that to start the year, Pittsburgh's, had a pretty good offense, obviously, the first 2 weeks of the year. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. He's with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa. I remember you wrote in March about the plan to rest Manny Machado more. But I remember we had a conversation about this. It's one thing to have that as a plan, but it's like the Mike Tyson line. It's like everyone's got a plan until they get punched, so to speak. But credit to the Padres organization and Craig Stammen and even Machado, because last year, you know better than me, right? It took 150 games for him to get a scheduled off day. Yeah. Today, he gets it in the 12th game of the year. What does that signify? And how often would you expect him? Is it monthly? Is it every couple of weeks? Or how many scheduled off days do you think they're going to put in there for him this year?
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised at all because I said this is who Craig Stammen is. And this is one example of why he was hired. Not only relationship with Manny, but, somebody could walk in off the street. Craig is very Craig's gonna do what he thinks right for the team and that he thinks is right. And there was no doubt. But yeah, the reason there could have been doubt in people's mind is, hey, this is Manny Machado. Manny Machado played 150 games before a day off last year because of Manny Machado. Like, and if you read the story that I wrote in the spring, I mean, the quotes in there leave no doubt that like that's like a man thing for him. That's like who he is. And the stats, the fact that he's played in more games than anyone else since 2015, will tell you that. Unless Paul Goldschmidt plays tonight, then they'll be tied. But it is remarkable what Manny does. But there was really no doubt they were going to do this. As for how often, I think this might be a signal. I'm not saying every 12 games. I'm not even saying there's a prescription, but it got out of hand last year. There's no way they wanted to go 150 games without him resting. But at some point, then the offense was struggling. They were struggling. They wanted to, get a playoff spot. They were chasing the Dodgers until mid-September. And it was like both Manny and Mike Schill determined he couldn't sit. And so they got to get ahead of it this year. So in case they're in that situation again, where Manny does need to play 40, 50 games in a row, he's not already tired. He should have had days off earlier. Mike Schill did a pretty good job managing the different parts of his roster. That was one. Hey, no one's perfect. That got away from him last year.
Kevin, is that tough for somebody like Craig Stammen or any of these young managers who are looking at such a veteran? Let's hypothetically, Manny Machado says, "Nah, I don't want to sit this early in the season. I'm good to go. I'm healthy. I'm feeling fine." How tough is that to get one of your stars and to paint that big picture of, look, you're actually doing this because it could potentially help us down the road? Is that a tough position that the manager's in, and how often does that interaction happen with the players?
I think it's really tough. I mean, there's a reason, certain players haven't moved down in lineups here with the past couple managers. We'll see when Craig gets to, if people are struggling, certain names are struggling, what he does there in terms of we're already talking about his lineups. Does he get drastic? But I don't have any doubt that he will. But that's it's the biggest part of the job, handling these guys. And I've talked about it with you guys before and a lot of places, because I know that the media and fans, we get all caught up in game management, and there's not a manager out there who's managed in the past, say, 10 years or so, and probably guys before that, but that wouldn't tell you managing in-game strategy decisions is no more than 20% of the job. This other stuff is the 80%, and it only is getting more as managers have less power in some organizations, less sway, and as players, look, let's be honest, right? Not to sound like an old man, but these kids have changed. And then you got a veteran like Manny Machado who does have the argument of, hey, this is how I've played and this is how I've succeeded. I'm better when I play. And so and he's a strong personality, but I said this from the day Craig Stammen was hired. I covered him for 8 years. And I said, yeah, I was surprised, and I don't know what kind of manager he's going to be, but he's got the personality and he's got the sway over players, including Manny Machado. When Craig Stammen was a middle reliever on this team, Manny Machado listened to Craig Stammen on things.
Really good insight from Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa. It's funny, I posted something about where we started, like, hey, 6-6. It's kind of what you were asking for. I think it's a good enough start. And it's social media, so take it for whatever it's worth. But one of the immediate replies was, well, they can't hit good pitching, so they can't win the World Series. I'm like, well, first of all, the World Series is in 7 months, so relax. But to the general
John, you
point,
should take down your post.
I should be like, you're right. Yeah, the World Series is over. You're right. But to the general point, I mean, he may be onto something in terms of, look at what they've done against Skeens, Skubal, Valdez, even Mitch Keller here today. Would you call that a concern, the fact that this lineup with this investment, with the pieces they have in it, consistently hasn't hit consistently good pitching?
Okay, so you know what? To be fair to people on social media too, it doesn't leave room for us to get context from them either, right? Because had that person said, "Hey, we probably should keep an eye out down the road for how these guys do against top starters, I would say, amen, brother or sister. I would absolutely agree with that is something to watch out. To say that right now is like, but yeah, today they played 10 games, the 7th quality start against them. And I can't remember how many have been not just quality starts, but like shutout 6 innings or whatever. And so, yeah, but also Framber Valdez, I think, has allowed 2 runs in his 3 starts.
Right.
Eric Skubal's pretty good. Paul Skeens is pretty good. Bubba Chandler's pretty good. Mitch Keller can be very good. Take a look at his career. Yes, he can get pummeled, but he also has plenty of starts like this. Sonny Gray's pretty good. I know Landon Roop got shelled by the Mets, but he's okay. Logan Webb's pretty good. Like they have really been, they've been under it here. Now, hey, absolutely a valid concern, man. I've written about it. You guys probably spent a lot of time talking about it. This is absolutely something to keep an eye on. They wanted coming into the season to do better against starting pitching. It was a few days before the season I wrote about it, that they don't want to have to always take a time through the order. Well, but also in that story, it was pointed out how they were going to start the season against some really good pitchers. So, hey, maybe that's it. And then also, Craig Stammen's been very upfront. I've got some good stuff from tomorrow's newsletter from Nick Castellanos, who's been a part of this whole, switching and mixing and matching. But Craig's been pretty upfront about we're using this first part of the year to figure out our lineup and to figure out where the pieces fit. And so let's just slow it down a little bit.
Kevin, final one for me. Looking at your article yesterday in the UT, great article on Joe Musgrove and just kind of where he's at based off of your interaction with him. And I'm sure for Joe and for a lot of Padre fans, surprised how he's still dealing with the issues that he's dealing with. Can the Padres, you think, depend on Joe Musgrove at any point over these next couple of months, or is this kind of a wait and see?
Depend. That's a key word right there. And they depend on him. And I want to be careful because I know how people react. And but I would say by the strictest term of can they depend, no. And I base that on talking with people and being like, so what's up? Well, don't know. Just going to see every day to day. And so and the fact is he's only played catch. And the fact is Joe's been pretty upfront about this. And so do they anticipate that in the next couple of months he's going to pitch for them? Yes. But can they depend on it? Is it really front of mind for them right now? No, it is not. One thing I do want to say, anyone that questions Joe Musgrove's dedication or his desire and how hard he works. Like, this guy has worked too hard in the past to come back from insane injuries. He pitched through, his arm could have given out at any point in 2024. He pitched through pain to make 20 starts, including some pretty damn good ones at the end of the season, helped the Padres get in the playoffs in 24. Like, it's not my job to defend players, but it is my job to sort of set the record straight. And if there was someone I was going to defend, it would be Joe Musgrove. And it's like insanity. It's like insanity to suggest that Joe Musgrove doesn't want to get out there or isn't working hard enough or whatever. That's just like, I can't even put it into words, and that's bad because I'm supposed to be able to put things into words. But I'm like, that to me is mind. It means you have not been paying attention.
Completely agree. And remarkably, in doing this sports talk, as long as we've done it, not Schaefer and Sliwa, but as long as we do sports talk each and every day, that's never even been broached with, like, I don't even
never crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind.
I don't even, if someone were to text that in, I won't even entertain that. But that's the most ridiculous. I mean, that is so utterly insane to think about. But A, with a professional athlete, and B, with someone of the caliber of Joe Musgrove. Kevin, travel safely. We will catch up with you back in San Diego. All right, and just like that, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, with us earlier on Schaefer and Sliwa. We'll take a time out. We'll continue the conversation on some of these young managers right now in baseball, including Craig Stammen, Tony Vitello in San Francisco, young coaches across sports as well, and the differences between someone like the previous manager of the Padres, Mike Shildt, the current manager of the Padres, and Craig Stammen. We'll discuss it coming up next right here on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaefer and Salute with San Diego Sports 760. Do want to remind you, SDFC back home. Snapdragon Stadium Saturday night taking on Minnesota United. Pregame coverage with Adrian and Darren beginning at 7 right here on your home for SDFC. San Diego Sports 760. We're giving away a family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place, and we'll do that coming up later this hour. So here's the one conversation we will not escape this year, would be my guess, this Padres baseball season, is we will consistently be tying Mike Schilt to Craig Stammen and vice versa, right? Schilt did this, Stammen did that. Stammen's better here, Schilt's better there, right? I mean, it's obvious.
Styles, records, 3-game losing streak, 3-game winning streak. Yep.
With the media, this, that, and the other. We've also spent some time over the 7 days in the history of the show talking about the Giants manager, Tony Vitello, who's also a young manager like Craig Stammen. He drew recent criticism because he acknowledged to the media that his team has had 3 clubhouse incidents in their first 10 games behind closed doors, something that would be rarely discussed.
It's an interesting average.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's basically every third game they've had a clubhouse incident. So I don't really know where to go with it other than to say that every manager is going to be different, maybe regardless of age. Like you could have gone from Mike Schilt to Bob Melvin, and I would compare the differences between Schilt and Melvin. But I think it's easier to go down that path when you go from a veteran manager or coach, like in a sport like the NBA, to a young manager or coach. And I think by and large, these younger managers or coaches are probably under like more of a microscope.
Anybody unproven is going to get this criticism. You'll be hesitant to give praise. You'll be quick to jump and say, why did he do that?
Yes, that's right.
Whether a good example or not, but earlier today, Padres beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. Michael King comes back out in the 7th inning, and I instantly say to myself, wait, why are you bringing him back in? He went 6 solid innings. He ends up getting 2 guys on. They bring him out, and Kyle Hart ends up giving up a couple of runs. But just the instant, if Mike Schilt did that, I'm going to have less hesitation, or I'm going to have less criticism, because I'm going to say it's Mike Schilt. He's been there. He's done that. Couple of playoff appearances, was in St. Louis, more experience. But if it's Craig Stammen that does it, why aren't you putting Mason Miller in for a 4-out save early in the season? Like we're just going to question things a lot earlier, or because it's Craig Stammen. I don't know stylistically. You mentioned the manager of the Giants. I don't know if stylistically the younger blood is going to be more honest with the media. I don't know if their relationship's going to be different with the players, but it makes sense. Like I've heard Sean McVay say things where I'm like, wow, that was pretty blunt.
Yep.
I've heard JJ Redick say things. I'm like, damn, that's pretty. And I'm just giving examples of young coaches, right? And the dust up that they were having in San Francisco, is this guy going to learn in 3 months to say, yeah, I'm probably going to keep that in-house?
Yeah.
And Craig Stammen he's a good example of, is certain things going to happen? You mentioned gave Machado the day off today and is like,
he's old.
He's old.
I didn't say exactly that, but that's how it felt.
Stylistically, I do think the styles are going to be different for somebody that's more old school and somebody that's more young school.
Do you think that also, though, you know how like with generations, we all think like the younger generation doesn't do it as well as yours?
Yeah.
Like our parents would say something about our generation.
1,000%.
And then our generation says something about the younger generation.
We're all going to do that.
And I do think there's something in it with managers and coaches. Because when you have this, like, I'll give you an example. It's like a lot of people push back. A lot of people push back at like the analytical baseball GM. Like, oh, they're just hiring some 32-year-old out of Harvard. He never played a day in his life. Now, again, that narrative has changed, like post-Moneyball. Like everything is analytically driven in sports. You don't have to have played baseball to know how to master a baseball roster.
There's a lot of smart people that have also said, nah, I think this is a better methodology.
Yeah, exactly. But is it just because we seem to question those that are younger more so than elders? It's like there's always a problem with the younger generation. I do it. I'm like, oh, people don't work today like they did when I came out of college. I don't even think that's true, honestly. But I think it's true, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. The only thing I'll stop on Craig Stammen on, I think that the Padres are in a unique spot because if they hadn't made the playoffs 4 years in a row and you weren't walking into expectations and you're in a win now mode. Now, you can define win now any way that you want, but the contracts they have, the aging of some of these players, they're in a win now mode, whether they like it or they don't. They're in a win now mode, and they're going to be in this mode for a little bit. We had somebody that hit us up on YouTube last week, and he said that, why would you hire a rookie manager that doesn't have the managerial experience when you're in a win now mode, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
That's going to be with him all season long. And I don't think that has anything to do with, well, when I was younger,
true.
You know, the music I listened to in my generation was better than the music you listen to.
Exactly.
Everybody has that kind of nostalgia with growing up and everything else. But I don't think with Stammen, I don't think it has anything to do with that.
I agree with you. I tend to agree with that. Craig Stammen might be, here's the thing with anything. You need to allow it to cook or like bake. We want to say, oh, they traded Leo DeVries, you lost the trade. Or they traded Mason Miller, they lost the trade. We don't give it time.
Oh, those are, I mean,
you got to give it time.
You're still trying to figure out the Juan Soto trade. I mean, it takes years to figure out.
But everyone wants immediacy. It's like everyone wants to say trading Luka is the worst trade in NBA history. It probably was. But I mean, it's like you have to react immediately and you have to have a strong opinion on it, or it's like you didn't react at all.
You know, it's funny.
Although you were on the air when it happened.
There was a that one is so unique for so many different ways.
So
but let me give you an example tonight. You said Shea's going back to play the Clippers.
It's a former team, right?
When Paul George got traded to the Clippers.
Yep.
And there was some real reasoning behind that.
Of course.
Hey, we can't get Kawhi to sign
unless PG
PG gets traded.
Yeah.
That trade that they made for Paul George was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's about to be a 2-time MVP and could be a 2-time champion. A pick that ended up being Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other picks that are like sprinkled in there.
That's insane.
So there's some that, but at the time, no one was saying don't trade for Paul George.
Yeah, how could you trade Shea away? Nobody knew who he was.
You're gonna put yourself in a championship class. Clippers have never won a championship.
Right.
Go all in.
I remember it.
It took 3-4 years to be like, hey, this is looking really, really bad.
Yeah, that might not work.
And
out.
remember, the Thunder weren't good for a number of years either.
Right, but they have been.
So
over the last few.
But you said the bake thing with Craig Stammen. I think that as we go back to it, we just live in a world where honestly, it's almost impossible for things to bake.
I completely agree. How good of a year could it be for Mason Miller? He works another scoreless inning. He didn't earn a save today, but worked a scoreless inning.
Yeah.
He's had an amazing start to his year. How good of a year could it be for Mason Miller? Here until 6 p.m., we're giving away a 4-pack of tickets as well to Sesame Place coming up on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Positive Coaching Alliance. The Padres beat the Pirates today 8-2 in Pittsburgh. Michael King picked up his first W of the year. The Padres went 4-2 on their first road trip of the season. The team comes home tomorrow to start a 4-game set against the Rockies. In other baseball news, Angels DH Jorge Soler and Braves pitcher Ronaldo Lopez each got a 7-game suspension from the league today after they were ejected following their participation in last night's bench clearing brawl between the Braves and the Angels. If you have questions about youth or high school sports, Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA builds better athletes and better people through sports. Info at positivecoach.org.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 congratulates our winners and iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher powered by Donors Choose. There's still time to donate to a classroom project, and your donation will be matched by Donors Choose. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. We'll give away that family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place coming up. You made me aware, this is Schaefer and Sliwa, you made me aware of a recent tweet from Buster Olney about Mason Miller.
All right, here's what he said.
All right.
So we know Mason Miller just balling out to start the season. Mason Miller, 18 batters faced this year, 1 hit allowed, 13 strikeouts. He says it's been a long time since a reliever won the Cy Young Award.
Wow.
By the way, you're hearing that's come up way too much already to start the season.
You're saying it's too early to even broach it? It's Mason Miller?
It's basically how absurd Mason Miller is that you've been hearing this now for
I know.
I'll listen to other podcasts, things like that. And it's like, I'm not even downplaying what Mason Miller has done. The point I'm trying to make is that's how good Mason Miller is. You're not 2 weeks into the season and people are like, well, I mean, you just got to look at him for Cy Young.
Who had the hit off him? I'm almost surprised. Like, what do you mean he's allowed to hit? Can't win a Cy Young.
I can't actually remember. I can't remember who it was.
I just pulled up a game log. It was April 1st against the Giants when he had the 4-out save. He allowed a hit. To whom? I don't know. But, I mean, it's interesting. So the last reliever to win a Cy Young, guys, was who? Eric Gagne.
Yeah.
So that was he had a 1.2 ERA with 55 saves. Now, listen, there's precedent here. Mark Davis, 89, 44 saves. Steve Bedrosian with the Phillies, 87. As in, there's been relievers, right? Dennis Eckersley has done it. But 2003 is a long time since Gagne. It's kind of like some of these, like the Heisman. Like maybe back in the day, running backs could win it, but then they moved away and it was all quarterbacks.
Sure.
It's like awards kind of changed their complexion. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, if he pitches like this all year, it's possible.
Well, I think this is what it will come down to, and this is what it should come down to. If the Padres ball out this year and Mason Miller is just nails in the 9th inning, but it also led to a lot of wins.
Yep.
What I don't want to see is you can't have a squad go 81-81
and win the Cy Young.
And Mason Miller is amazing. Probably didn't get as many opportunities you were hoping for.
Right.
I think what it's going to come down to, and again, this is absurd to be having this conversation 2 weeks in,
right.
But I think what it would come down to is, has the team put him in a position to where he can be as great as he is? Because it just depends on the squad that you play for. It depends on how many wins that you get. I love seeing any of these individual awards. I love it when it primarily is credited towards a player that's on a really successful team. Because at the end of the day, that's what should be built around. The question is going to be, how many opportunities is Mason Miller going to get?
Here's the other thing. Now, his career has been short. I mean, he's a young player. He's only played for parts of 3 years heading into this year. But he's never appeared in more than 60 games in a year. So let's say they were to follow that path and he appeared in 60 games.
Now, was that more of an A's issue?
You know, I don't know, because the year in which he appeared in 60 games was last year, 38 with the A's, 22 with the Padres. That was in, a third of a season. He appeared in 22 games, essentially. So I guess my point is, if you're only, quote unquote, only appearing in 60 games, you're not going to have more than 40-something saves. So it's going to be days he appears, there's not a save spot because maybe they haven't won. let's say they've
today's a good example.
Yeah, today's a good example. He appeared in a game that wasn't a safe spot in
It was
his hometown.
4-2 when he started warming up.
It was in his hometown. But there's going to be days, obviously, he appears in a non-safe spot. So here's what I think is required to win the Cy Young. And like you said, it's way too early to talk about it, but let's talk about it. I don't think you can blow more than one save. Okay? That's what I start there. I'm not blowing more than one save. I don't think your ERA can be higher than about 1.2. I really don't think it can. And I think you're going to have to rack up a big save number. It doesn't have to be 55, but it can't be 41. So those are my prerequisites. High 40s in saves, 1 ERA, 1 blown save or fewer.
I think this is the most important thing to take away from either Buster Olney's tweet or what you've been talking about. And I've heard you say this before, that you're expecting him to just be great
all year
long.
That's hard.
I think the point to take away from all this is Mason Miller is such a stud that if you walk into Petco Park, how they have typically, and I haven't been there. I mean, we were there for opening day, but we didn't go into the actual game. We did our broadcast. Yep. They have the actual posters of all
like the signage.
You're now at a stage where it's like if you put Mason Miller front and center and Manny a little to the right and Tatis a little to the left, I'm okay with that. I'm not complaining.
Put him right in the middle.
The point is that anybody having a Cy Young conversation about a closer on April 8th, it's so absurd, but it's a compliment to how good Mason Miller is and how filthy his stuff is.
You don't think he's locked it up as of yet?
I think if you ask me in a week.
No, I mean,
I think he needs one more save.
Well, here's the other thing, though, that we haven't talked about. And of course, you're right. What are we talking about? It's April 8th. But Buster only brought it up.
But I say that more as a compliment.
Yes.
Like the fact that that's a conversation is more of a compliment to him.
But here's the other thing. It's like Merrill ran up against Skeens in Rookie of the Year. It wasn't his fault. It was just a historically bad year to be vying for it. As in, where Mason Miller could potentially benefit is Paul Skeens or someone like that doesn't go 18-2 with a 1.41 ERA as a starter.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And you can't predict that.
He'll need a little helper. He's just going to need. He can't be going up against a historic season.
He can't. I don't think if there's a historic starter going up against a historic reliever,
then
I think
he's going to win the Cy Young.
The historic starter is going to throw this year 195 innings. Mason Miller's going to throw 60. So, it's hard for me to argue that the guy with the 0.3 in 60 innings is better than the guy that went 19-2 with a 1.1.
No, listen, and if I had a vote, I'm probably giving it to the starter too.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe arguable. I mean, I don't know what we'll be saying here locally if it's Miller and then it's Skeens. That's very similar to Merrill and Skeens. What if we're doing that same conversation that we get to September? Skeens has a 1.4 and Mason Miller has a 0.9.
The thing I didn't like about the Merrill race was how many starts does Skeens have that year?
23. Looked it up yesterday.
And my issue was Merrill was on a successful team and was a big part of a successful team and was an everyday player. That's why I didn't like about it.
That's right.
That's it. And Skeen, it was a popularity contest.
He didn't pitch in any important game all year.
It was we need this for the sport.
My girlfriend's Livy Dunn. You know what I mean? Like he was.
I'm with you.
And that's not to take away from his accomplishments. The fact that he's dating a superstar doesn't mean he's not a great pitcher.
But I think we both are saying the same thing. It's like at the end of the day, I don't care what baseball wants. I don't care what's popular for baseball and what's getting more clicks. If this dude deserved it, give it to the man who deserved it. We'll see what happens with Mason Miller.
Yeah, and again, I hate to go down this path again with Skeens real quick, but like Skeens is a great player and might be one of a generational pitcher and may revive Pittsburgh baseball, but like the face of the sport can't be pitching in front of 9,400 people.
Yeah.
Like that's just odd for the sport. You don't see LeBron James as a 27-year-old in Miami playing in front of 4,300.
Wemby is must-watch TV, and everywhere he goes and plays, they're selling it out because it's Victor freaking Wembanyama.
Not 1,900 people in New Orleans to watch the Spurs or the Thunder. That's just odd.
I still feel like you're underselling what today's attendance was.
What was today?
They cracked over 10.
And I saw a couple of those like overhead.
Yep.
What are they? What are these things called?
Overhead shots. Yeah.
The drones, like during the game, it was embarrassing. They do the drone overhead. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how few people are.
Do you think they announce the attendance, or do you think they say 600 more from yesterday? It's all how you look at it.
It's a good point.
It's all how you look at it, John.
More than
John,
yesterday.
you know, I'm being honest with you. So far, so you're very negative right now on Pittsburgh, on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I'm anti-Pirates. I would never
clean that up
wrap.
a little bit.
How many people would watch the Pirates wrap-up show if I was doing it?
Bro, you know what sucks? They, like you said, they got talent.
They have talent, and they're in Pittsburgh where there's fans of sports. Look at the Steelers and the Penguins, but for whatever reason, Pirates haven't been good for forever. What do you got?
For as sad as Pittsburgh's attendance is, they're not even the worst.
Well, Sacramento plays in front of 0 people.
They're not. Well, they're technically the worst.
I know Miami,
but Miami's bad. KC's bad this year.
What's
Minnesota's
Miami's average, even with opening day?
12,000.
How can you average 12,000 when you had a crowd probably of 29,000 in there? Think about that. You've only played 6 games. You got a 29 and then 5,000 person crowds. Baseball's got problems, man. With some of these markets,
apparently everybody. I'm surprised that you didn't say right after you said baseball's got problems, but the NBA has worse problems. Because I feel like we always go back to the NBA.
Problems. They all have problems. Even the NFL.
No, they all do. No, they definitely all do.
They all do. We'll give away the family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place on the other side here until 6 p.m. Stay with us. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Let's give away a family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place for caller 4 right now. Call 877-767-4760. Call right now if you want a free family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. 877-767.
Right now.
Call right now.
Right now.
877-767-4760. Sesame Place is back and turning 4. Guests are invited to a birthday bash full of laughter, hugs, and furry fun. Make sure to get out there. Tickets at sesameplace.com. You'll love the Sesame Street Party Parade and story time with Big Bird. So call right now if you want those tickets. 877-767-4760.
My favorite part of the show today was when Brent had to go cut sound.
And I picked up the phone.
And you just started picking up the phone like you were home. Like you were hanging out at home.
I have a phone at home.
And nobody does. Nobody does. But it was like you were, I don't know, closing deals or something. You took me back to like DiCaprio in the Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. That's what it reminded me of.
I was going for that, so I'm glad it reminded you of that.
Yeah, but you were very disrespectful to the listeners.
No,
you were very aggressive.
No, I was no.
You were
I
so
said,
aggressive.
"Hi,
You were
it's John."
cursing like crazy.
Why are you calling us? A second earlier, I'm like, call if you want to talk Padres. Like, why are you calling us right now?
Don't you know I'm on break?
Speaking of like generational, do you remember? Like, I remember in my grandparents' place, they had the phone with the like.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? Rotary?
Yeah.
And I was like fascinated by it because like as a kid, I'm like, what is this? And then now my son is like fascinated by the idea of like a phone with like a wire, like whatever that was that we had growing up, right? With the buttons. You had the numbers on there, beep, 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 or whatever. And now it's like.
I still use it.
Do you still use that?
I do not.
You carry it around?
I do not.
Long cord. And now it's like, yeah, I don't know. Now you have like 7-year-olds and they want cell phones. I'm like, no, dude, no.
Well, I mean, and obviously what a phone is used for today has nothing to do with the phone.
That's the thing.
How many calls do I make a day?
I call you.
We literally probably each make 6 or 7 calls throughout the day. And the rest of the time we're on our phone has nothing to do
Isn't that amazing?
with the actual phone.
I know. You know, it's funny you say that. You know, in the YouTube algorithm, you and I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I'm sure our listeners do as well. In the algorithm, for whatever reason, I don't think I asked for it, but I started getting presented with Steve Jobs' like speeches.
Yeah.
From whether it was to like city councils about like building in like wherever their offices are. What's the name of the town? Cupertino.
Yeah.
Or just about some of the product launches. And I just did this in the last like 5 days. I watched the product launch of the iPhone. It's actually fascinating. I mean, utterly fascinating to watch something that impactful on society play out in that forum. Whereas like, it was amazing how every day it's like, you want a music player and you want to be able to call your mom.
Yep.
And you want to be able to do this. And it's like,
now you get it all.
It was an unbelievable concept. I mean, it really, and I don't know what's like next to like revolutionize. I can't even say the word like that.
Yeah. I think what it's going to be basically a robot saying, we don't need you.
Yeah,
but we really appreciate everything you did in the past.
Hey, Schaefer and Sliwa, move over for robot. Schaefer
Thank you for creating us, but we're good. And by the way, they can go 8 hours if they want.
True, and they're not going to complain.
There's not. They don't have to log in hours. Nothing.
My wife has made it to
Intuit
Dome
Yep.
in Inglewood. Have you been to the Intuit Dome?
I have been there.
What are your impressions of it?
You know, it's crazy what happened in that area in Los Angeles. Like you went, I think 10 years ago, there's nothing there.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what was there. I'm sure there was a lot there, but now you have this monstrous of a stadium, obviously in SoFi, and then you got the Intuit Dome as well. Intuit Dome, it's nice. Like, I don't think I walk away saying this is the greatest arena I've ever been to.
Interesting.
You know, Bomber was big on the amount of toilets there.
Tons
He's
of
a
toilets,
huge fan of toilets. So you don't have to wait. If you got to go to the bathroom, toilets everywhere.
Right. And they got their wall. You and I talked about this, a portion of which is basically modeled off San Diego's. You didn't know
I had no idea that was a story from
this
that.
article.
Yeah.
Steve Ballmer came down with the team in 2019 when Kawhi Leonard had his jersey retired. The Aztecs were 20-0, one of the top. I think they were ranked 4th in the nation when he came down. And San Diego State actually trailed Utah State at the half that night, and Matt Mitchell went off in the second half for the Aztecs. But Kawhi Leonard was honored. Steve Fisher spoke at the half, and Steve Ballmer was there for that. And the story went then and still goes now because there's an article at ESPN.com today about the wall.
The model is
Ballmer was enamored by San Diego State student section, the show, and by the way Viejas Arena was like a one-level bowl, like not a middle concourse, not two-tiered. Of course, you're going to do that in the NBA.
Yeah.
But he wanted to have one portion of the arena just like one level all the way up. And some of it is, in fact, based on Viejas Arena. Also, a German soccer club that has like the wall. Borussia something is iconic for their fans and this crazy fan supporter section.
That's a cool story.
So it's
That's
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Now, my wife is not in the wall here tonight. She just texted me and said, Jones, our 7-year-old, is so embarrassed that she's asking for autographs. So
I love
the
it.
mom is asking for the autographs. The
I love it.
7-year-old's like,
she's excited. What is she supposed to do? She's been planning this thing out for a month plus.
A month plus. I'm like,
do you know the story of how, obviously Ballmer was trying to get at of crypto, right? And by the way, the Lakers don't even own crypto. Crypto is owned by AEG.
And they were like the third tenant because it was Lakers, Kings, Clippers.
There you
right?
go.
Yeah.
And
They work at a good time,
AG
so.
owns, that whole area. When he was trying to build into a dome, he had a hurdle because of the Forum. Back in the days, it was the Great Western Forum.
Right. So he
Dolan owned the Forum.
Right.
So they're like having these legal hurdles and this and that. So then he was like,
why don't you just buy it?
Why if I just cut you a check for $400? If I give you $400 million, I'll own the Forum, and you kind of go about your way, I'll go about my way.
Does the Forum still stand?
Still stands, and I think it's because I think they did a lot of work. Yeah, it gets a lot of concerts and events like that.
It does stand, and he owns it?
He owns it. So you got Forum, Intuit, SoFi, all right next to each other. Just get us one arena down here. Just get us
put
one.
Put the Intuit Dome here and just
we just leave all that there. It is what it is. Just get us our own little location out there by the sports arena where that's currently is.
Because I'll write a check. Like I'll do the Ballmer move.
But
no, but I
do
never.
you know how much he's worth? Do you know his net worth?
Is he worth? Is he worth over $1 million? Is he worth $1 million?
Great question. 1.25.
Whoa.
1.25
He's worth
million.
$1 million?
1.25
He's a millionaire.
million.
No, what is he worth?
He can buy a Buffalo Wild Wings franchise tomorrow. He is worth just $121 billion.
How's that possible?
You're worth $121
dollars.
You're still sitting there, right?
But the thing is, even if I had $121 billion, could I even get an arena built in San Diego?
Yeah.
Stan Kroenke's involved in this project.
I know. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
I'm telling you, it's going to freaking happen.
Who do you like tonight? My wife's at the Clippers Thunder game. You're taking
Thunder are good to go.
Thunder
Thunder
because they needed to win the West.
Yeah, Thunder winning by 9.
Good show today. We're back tomorrow.
Great show.
At 3 p.m. If you missed anything today on Schaefer and Sliwa, find us on sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. We have something good for you tomorrow. What it is, I'll remember come tomorrow. But be with us tomorrow.
Yeah, just
at
be
3
a part of that.
For Brent and Alan, I'm John. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. Peace.